the zone, breaking it down from her comfy throne. Smart as hell with a side of flair, politics sass and a killer stare. Crazy's lurking tail in the frame, chat's already playing their games. That target day, sharp and bold, hot takes drop while the chaos unfolds. Truth with bite filled in the way, still showing up every streaming day. Brains and vibes, she leads the pack. Now buckle in, no looking back. That dark night, let's
Good afternoon, everybody, anybody. We are gathered here today to look at some feminist stuff. Well, what is claiming to be feminist stuff? I don't know. I'm doing this one blind. It had a cool little intro in terms of the coming up, and then I was like, okay, cool, we're diagramming this, so let me just go in raw. So that's what we're doing here. Hope everybody is having a good week. Sorry about yesterday, but it was worth it. Okay, it was worth the time it took. Also, guys, so something that's new for today's diagram is, okay, so I've got my whiteboard. So I put the whiteboard in the background here. So there, look, obviously I'll bring it closer to you guys when it's relevant, but while I'm taking notes, it's here because I've noticed that I just keep scratching out my notes as I take them because I'm left-handed. So it gets in the way. So yeah, this is it. We've got chat. You guys can get points as usual. Then Rachel, obviously, she's the one that's in the hot seat for this one, so she's in the middle there. And other is the other guys. Okay, there's 5 of them supposedly, and yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's a 21 minutes or around 20-minute session, so we should be able to do it in one stream, unless it gets too interesting. I misread this as diabetes diagram. Now I'm disappointed. I'm so sorry. One day when I'm qualified as a medical professional, I'll do a diabetes diagram. So here we go. Let's. I will share with you and let you guys watch the intro bits. Hey, Groovy. The intro bit that doesn't get diagrammed because it gets diagrammed technically because it comes later, but just the teaser bit. Let us share screen. Nice mug. Yeah, of course. Yeah, not that. This one. Here we go. Oopsie, that's the usual. Here we go. Okay, you guys, obviously, as usual, if there's anything interesting to see in the video, then I'll share it big screen. But at the same time, yeah, just we've got our transcript. What people are saying is the most important thing. So listen up. There should not be an echo. I have not messed about with the audio. Let me just check again. Let me check in case. Yeah, I haven't messed about with the audio. Confirmed. Here we go. Let's watch a little.
Women are oppressed currently in this world, right?
Oh, explain.
Right? Less so.
I'd love to know how.
What do you mean?
Any
they can't
example?
drive.
Women are currently oppressed. So someone is trying. So the other time. So what we're getting, what I got, I don't know Rachel. Honestly, I don't. But I saw she's got an audiobook or something, and it was about occult. It's called Occult and Feminism. So I think she is arguing that it's not a reaction to oppression. That's her argument. So anyway, here she goes.
They can't go out without.
They can't drive?
In certain countries, absolutely, women are oppressed. Are you
Where?
literally denying that women are not oppressed in this world?
I don't even think
I agree.
Okay, yeah, like that's a silly thing. Is this the kind of thing where because she's being based, she just ignores absolutely everything? So she overcorrects essentially.
But
Amounts to
but we agree
oppression.
that was oppression. That
I
they
don't
were
agree
oppressed.
that that was oppression
So the
at
government
all.
saying that people cannot vote in the country they live is not oppression.
That's Indian Jesus. He's called himself that. That's Lutch.
No, because
Just because it was a wrong before that for men doesn't mean that it still was unequal.
so do you think that we would have the welfare state without female voters? Do you think the welfare state is a good thing?
Okay, interesting. That I feel like we're going to get a whole bunch of different kinds of arguments that will be pleasing and displeasing to me.
Okay, the first topic.
So yes, of course, we come from modern day debates. My diagram is going to be, I think the thing is, I've got Rachel as her own, she's got her own color and everything. But I'm going to have to put the speakers in eventually. Or maybe they'll be, we'll have like a node per speaker. Let's see the format. Okay, but this is the boys, I suppose the boys, because I think all the speakers are boys, get blue, and she gets pink. So that's where we're at with the diagram. Let's go others. Okay, so just in terms of who there is, there's Lutch, who is Indian Jesus. I'm sure we've had him in chat before. Then there is, it's in their description. God damn it. It's in my description even. Let me go to my description quick. You don't need to play, by the way. If you guys are lucky, you'll get to hear the song that's in my head. Okay, Lutch, the Indian Jesus. Then we've got Andrew, who is from the Crucible, who's been all over my timeline. Okay, so Andrew. The Crucible. Okay, and we've got who else? I know I could alt tab, but I'm just not good at it. We've got Mike, who is the drunk debunk show. Interesting. And then Chris, you are mocked. Okay. Chris. Okay. Right. Let's see who and what is going on.
Is feminism was not a reaction to oppression.
Okay, so this is the topic. I don't know if we go into several different topics. I think this is just the one she discusses, and that's what's made the video. Okay, but her claim, I suppose, they have to... I guess they didn't... if Jubilee hasn't copyrighted this... what do you call it? This format, so... Hopefully we get a better version of this. Hi, Daisy! Hi, Daisy! Okay, that's not a comfy seat. I'm sorry. Just say hello to everyone first before you go. Say hi. Okay. Alright. So, her first topic is... Okay, just go back. Daisy? What's he? I said auto scroll and you have not auto scrolled, bro. Ugh. Can you wait? Let me just play her.
Hi. Nice to meet you. You too.
Okay. Thank you, Daisy. Right. So we've got her first topic is this what we've spoken about, feminism. Hello, Daisy. Sit on my lap. Hi, baby girl. Okay. Good girl. Good girl. Come here. There you go. Sit, girl. There you go. Hi, Warren. How you doing? Yes, Daisy girl. Daisy's not going to deal with my legs moving, though. She doesn't like that. I'm sorry, I got to stay still. Okay. Stay here. You know, I would diagram a lot faster, I swear. I swear. You guys know. Here we go. Feminism is great. Look how many women become millionaires through OnlyFans. But jokes aside, feminism is like everything else in life. It's good, bad, and ugly. In my opinion, I don't believe it's possible, though. You don't believe it's possible for women and men to be absolutely equal. Is that what you mean? By it's possible. Wesley. Hi, Wesley. Okay, wasn't a reaction to oppression. That's her main topic. Cool. Who is the first guy?
I guess a natural first question is what you think it arose from.
And he has 5 minutes to talk about it. Mike. Okay, so it's Mike. I think we've already got this. So let's just go Mike. And it's 5. You guys get 5 minutes each. So that's the format. I like it. That's so much better than the voting out and shit. Because essentially you get 5 minutes to talk about it. So there is a bit of a limit. You can find the things you disagree about, and that's the end. Okay. How can two things be equal to each other if they are different? That's true. They cannot be absolutely. I think they can strive for some sort of fairness, at least between them. Because the thing that struck me when you said that is that we are very different, but we are also both human. So it is something. If you're trying to just view us as just humans, then you'll end up taking away certain characteristics that each sex has. And you got to look at us as a species to make us equal. So then, yeah, I'm in agreement with that. That, yeah, because we are so different, it's very difficult. We all have to lose resolution in what we can keep equal between us. We have to bring it down to the most basic stuff, the most basic rights. Okay, and that's another thing where equality of outcome, not a thing in that way. Mike, for that reason. Mike, what is his first question? How does he approach this?
I guess a natural first question is what you think it arose from.
So the story most everyone's heard is...
You see, nice. He goes, what did it arise from? Daisy, you must see Daisy while I'm trying to type. Just hold on. Okay, what? What did it arise from? Okay, there we go. She keeps what's her name going? She keeps hitting my thumbs when I'm typing. What did it arise from? DD! I can't handle this. Oh yes, here's our music. Sorry. Here we go. But what is fair though? Who decides that? Well, I think what we would try to do is make all of us democratically figure out what's fair. Try and find some sort of consensus on fairness. What you believe is fair might be unfair for me, probably. But honestly, we eventually do work on what is most accepted in a society. As much as we can argue about democracy and all of that, but majority does rule naturally in humanity. When we reach some sort of consensus where power lies, I suppose, it happens. Okay, so what did it arise from? What's his question? What's
the reason feminism came about is because the evil patriarchy was oppressing the women, and they looked around one day and they went, oh no, we're being oppressed, we have to march and protest until we're equal. That's really not how it happened at all. It was more of an astroturfed social engineering project by radical revolutionaries and wealthy industrialists. Okay, so we've got, at least that's a good question. That would be the natural question. He doesn't come in here and just commenting on how Mark is working, right? He doesn't come in here and immediately attack. I'm hoping that's just a show of how
good this kind of format, this format compared to the Jubilee format works, because there's less of the blood sports hopefully going on so far, and that is, hello, sometimes you can pick up blood sports immediately. So yeah, just having him asking an intelligent, obvious question, very good. In my books, her response is quite concise as well. And yeah, she's saying, okay, the usual story is women, the usual story, women realized they were oppressed and started protesting. Okay, the actual story is it was astroturfed social engineering. Social engineering project by radical revolutionaries. Okay. Hey, Creamage! Hey, Timber! What's up, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I enjoyed that. We need to actually... Creamage! We need to get a different kind of song like that. A song like that. It was you? You started feminism? Okay. They operate on the exact same premise. Okay. Also, Olo 1 of 44. I read it, but I didn't actually say. Okay, astroturf. Oh, astroturf. Okay. Right, so we've got astroturf. I suppose that these don't have to be completely different. They're completely separate. It's the social engineering bit, I suppose, is what some entity could have made the woman realize they're oppressed, right? Because otherwise they didn't really, for centuries they hadn't done anything about it. But then a radical would have to come along and let them realize that, and then they went off. So they triggered it. This person triggered it, I suppose. Okay. I hate feminism, I like women. Yes, if you like women, you shouldn't enjoy feminism. Feminism has ruined women for a lot. A certain point of feminism eventually just ruined us. But yeah, I'm not completely. That doesn't mean. Listen, guys, you see me. I'm definitely not of the opinion that women should be put away and hidden from everybody except for their husbands and that sort of thing. I'm definitely not for that. I'm okay with women working. Yeah, but I'm not a blue-haired feminist.
So I'm just going to be honest. I don't know enough about the history of feminism to say whether you're right or wrong. So I guess I kind of would rather just get to the meat of what I'm assuming you're saying,
Sure.
which is that feminism is inherently wrong, right? Because it wasn't founded by oppressed women. It was founded by some other, corrupt industry.
Yes, this kind of goes along. I love this guy. Nicely done, Mike. He goes, okay, cool. I don't know about it. So I'm putting this down here. Okay, maybe, should I put it as a summary? In response to these two things, he's down here. He's just like, well, listen, I don't actually know. So I guess I kind of would rather just get to, so he says, I don't know enough about the history of feminism to say whether you're right or wrong. So that's it. So then if you don't know, let the person teach you something, or at least give you something to research when you are, when you are after the conversation. Enlighten you. Doesn't mean you have to lap up absolutely everything that she. Temba, you just need to put pictures. So just put an emote or the kitty cat or something, and it should work. So I don't know if this will work. There you go. Yeah, so that works. So just put an emoji. So yeah, anyway, saying, look, I don't know about that, so I actually can't argue with it with you on that, but we still need to have a conversation for 4 minutes. So I would like to know the extra bit that I'll talk to me about what's further, what else we can go through. This is actually quickly how it should go. But a lot of the time, because of the contentiousness between participants, you actually don't ever get to this point. So obviously they're very nice and calm, and it's a conducive environment so far. I don't know enough about the history of the feminism to say whether you're right or wrong. So I guess I would rather get to know the point underlying. So I guess I would rather just like to get to the meat of what I'm assuming. Oh, by the way, I think I should get I should just give some points over here. Chat can get points for engaging in the freaking conversation instead of asking about other things. Okay, well done. Let's go. So chat, you guys can get a point for being good. You good? Okay. Hello, Daisy. Rachel gets a point for being concise with her response. Okay, and clear with her response. And Mark has gotten them points. So, I mean, we could put Mark here. And he's got points for admitting he doesn't know and bringing the conversation further. Well done, everybody. Okay. Don't worry, I'll bring the board closer later on. Right. Just like to meet I'm assuming you're saying the meat of what I'm assuming you're saying, which is that so he also has said he's assuming something. He's assuming what she's saying. Daisy, stop chasing your tail. It's there. It's not gonna get away from you. Okay. You're saying, which is that feminism is inherently wrong. So he gets this idea. He's like, listen, it kind of follows that feminism is wrong. It's not based on the good thing it was supposed to be based on, because it wasn't founded by oppressed women. It was founded by some other. Yeah. Okay. I think that works. Let's get some pink over here for Rachel. Alright. Did you ever watch the conversation which Germ Warfare had with Rachel Wilson? Oh, really? No. Can you give me a link for that? 1 of 44? Germ, I haven't actually seen Germ stuff in a long time. The last time I heard of him, like, he was being kicked off YouTube and stuff. That was the last I heard of him. I used to watch him regularly a couple years ago.
That, and people just have this assumption because of over 100 years of propaganda that women were historically oppressed, when I don't think that's accurate at all. I don't think there's
okay. Well, your response.
anyone were people just
women. It was founded by some other, corrupt industry.
That, and people just have this assumption because of over 100 years of propaganda that women were historically oppressed, when I don't think that's accurate at all. I don't think.
Wow. So she doesn't think that women are. I think she's clowning. She's rage baiting. I can't post links here. Oh, sorry. Are you on the Discord though? I'll look for it. 144. I'll look for it. But I do want to. I'll star that. It's in the studio, so it's starred forever. That's okay, guys. We've just come across something that. She does hold this position, cool, but I don't think she should. So she's saying woman. So this is, we could have gone into this, but instead she's like, she repeats her point, which I was like, okay, cool, you didn't need to, because he accepted it. But then she did add, okay, no, women actually propaganda, the idea that women were oppressed is a result. That I'm just breaking that down. She said it in so many words. Is a result of what's it? Did she actually say? Sorry, I used one S here. Result of over 100 years of oppression. Okay. Okay, the idea is of, sorry, not of oppression, of propaganda. Freudian feminist. Okay, of propaganda. So they actually weren't. That's kind of wild to me. Like, they actually weren't ever oppressed. So what is it? Is it just I suppose her worldview is different. Her definition of oppression, or not so much her definition of oppression. She will probably, this is my anticipation, right? I'm doing the Peter Boghossian thing, right? Basically, as if he gave me a whiteboard and said, what do you think her side, what do you think her argument is going to be? I think her argument would be that women were better off, they were taken care of, they actually were not oppressed, they were safe, they actually had measurably better lives. I think we have this same sort of thing as, like, I don't know, Pearly Things has tried this as well, where it's just like, oh, well, you're all on SSRIs now and you're all sad, and liberation has actually made women really unhappy. So they weren't actually oppressed. But when we think about the idea of oppression, it does apply. They did not have rights that men had. That's oppression. So as much as you might want, and now this is me playing with a phantom argument, I don't know what hers is, but so as long as you're just going to talk about outcomes, then fine, I can see what you mean. But when we come down to what a man can do versus what a woman can do, as in what they're allowed to do, not what they're physically able to do, yeah, oppression seems to be a thing. But just rephrase it, frame your worldview, and I will understand it. That's all I would be looking for here.
There's any real evidence that women were oppressed compared to men, for instance.
Okay, so propaganda, there is no evidence. And so it follows on, it's the next point. There is no evidence. Oh, there's no real evidence. So there is no real evidence that women were oppressed compared to men, for instance. Okay, so everyone was oppressed. Okay, that is another argument. That's another kind of argument she can go for, is, well, everyone was oppressed, everyone had fewer or less rights, there was less. There's the video isn't on his channel anymore. Oh, you see what I mean? That's what was going on with his channel. Like, I don't even know. I never unsubscribed. What happened? Did his channel get nuked? Did he remake it? So, let's go.
So what about parts of our history where there were just objectively unequal rights, like voting, for instance?
So in
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. Just like objectively, if they didn't have the ability to vote, isn't that oppression? Just objectively unequal rights. I'm going to use the word objectively. Objectively, like voting. Okay, so in the West,
in the West, most men only gained the right to suffrage maybe a decade or so before women did.
Okay, so that's okay. Okay, so she's saying, well, this goes back to her argument. It makes sense that her argument will go, well, there's no evidence they were oppressed oppressed compared to men, for instance, right? So she's obviously going to say, well, you see, men only got freedom, they got their suffrage 10 years before, about 10 years. So they were also oppressed. I don't even know what that means. What means? The title? Rachel verse 5, this thing? Or the fact that men only got their right to vote, suffrage. I'm just, from context, it's okay, they got their right to vote. That's what I've gotten. Hi, Nobor! So, what's the case of objectively unequal rights, like in voting? And so she's going to say, okay, she's already said, most men. So again, most does a lot of lifting. Men only gained the right to suffrage. Then I'll just put the right to vote. Maybe a decade or so. Before women did. So when this happened though, when men got their vote though, women did not at the same time. That's something that I'm interested in. Why wouldn't they get it at the same time? If there is no oppression, right? So you're saying, oh well, it was only 10 years after that women, but that was 10 years. The 10 years was required. So we started off already with the idea that men and women are not active in the same way in society. Okay? So okay, we've got that. She's put that in. What's next? Okay.
So people assume that as soon as we had, various forms of democracy, either in America or England, that all men could vote. That's not the case. It was a very small group of men. There were a lot of caveats. It depends the time and place, but you had to either be a landowner, you had to have certain other various requirements. Sometimes you had to pay a poll tax in order to be able to vote. So in England, for example, men only gained universal suffrage about a decade before women did.
Okay, so again, the universal thing, this is now in the UK. She's given examples. Okay, so I would say she broke it down into caveats. Initially, only a small group could vote. Caveats like land ownership. What else did she bring? Sorry, caveats. Like and land ownership. Landowner have certain various requirements. Sometimes you had to pay a tax, poll tax. In order to be able to. So in England, for example, men only gain. So again, she's also using this one example here. So it was in England, but I guess that is the most one of the that's where we're getting our westernized ideas from. So of course she's going to say in England. So in the UK, well, England, universal suffrage gained by all men around 10 years, maybe. So we only had 10 years of oppression, ladies. Relax. It was only 10 years. Relax, okay? That's all. Doesn't matter. But who will make the sandwiches? Exactly. Although, guys, when it comes to cooks, to chefs, male chefs are incredible. They are absolutely amazing. Okay. Poll tax in order to... So in England, for example, men only gained universal suffrage about a decade before women did. And it's good that we made progress, right? I don't think so. Okay.
But it's good that we made that progress, right?
I don't think so, but that's a separate prompt.
Okay, so she's repeal. She wants to take it away. Okay, Pearly. So he says his thing is, oh, we good? No. No, I think that would be so much. I wonder what my husband would think. If it became solely his responsibility to decide who I vote for, or not even, like, I am more interested in voting than he is. My husband actually, I think, has voted fewer times than I have, and we're the same age. Have you ever had army food? No chefs are involved. This is true. That progress, right? No, but that's a different prompt. Okay, so it seems like she's like, yeah, take away the woman's vote. Okay. Right. Oopsie. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I don't really.
Why do we just give people the right to vote? I always thought things given for free has less value. Should we not gain some sort of skills to vote, or is that far too capitalistic? A lot of people have said that you should at least pay taxes to vote. If you are contributing to the government, then you should be able to somewhat influence where your taxes are going, how your taxes are being spent by voting, right? Whereas the like in a country like South Africa, the vast majority is not paying taxes but still participating in the government. People are like, oh well, they shouldn't have that right because they don't contribute. But then it's like, well, they do contribute by still being part of the country, by still living in the country, and they still do pay taxes through VAT. So I don't know, but yeah, that is a common thing. Yeah, maybe earn the privilege of voting. I don't know. What it would be interesting to have some sort of study on how people treat the right to vote. I suppose when that was happening, when they were like she's talking about ways for you to qualify to vote, I would be like, okay, I want to know what it was like, how people voted then, how sensitive to change was the government with that in place. Yeah, I guess having some sort of IQ level or something like that is, you know, some earning some your right to vote would be like singling yourself out as an individual that can think better for the whole, the collective, and that you would then be some sort of leader through that. So you're right, raising people above other people, and people are very upset about that. Hierarchy is quite scary. House prices are raised because foreigner can buy a house here now, where if you go to Japan, you'd only get 100 years lease. Here in oppressed land, we're forced to vote or we're punished. Wait, hold up, Creamage. What the fuck? Wait, huh? Do they do this kind of social engineering thing? Where it's like, what? Like if you don't vote, you don't get, you know, a tax break or something. Are you for real? And how did I not know this? As a group of women are not net contribution to taxes, so they shouldn't have a vote. I think women in the workforce now, there's enough women in the workforce for them to be contributing to the taxes. But I understand what you mean there by net. But so there's women that are just benefiting from taxes rather than generating them. But that would be a society, it would have to be by a case-by-case basis to see whether that net is always women are just tax leeches. They don't generate anything. You get fined. We need to pay a fine. So they know that you haven't voted, you haven't gone, you registered. I suppose it's like if I'm on the registry and they see that I did not exercise my right to vote, I must pay a fine. And they come after you for that fine. It's not like listen, in South Africa, there's a thing called a TV license and people do not pay it. And that kind of fine, yeah, so they like at a roadblock, they check you and you've got fines. Obviously, it would be traffic fines, but I suppose they could make it that they check your ID, they check if you've got some sort of warrant or whatever. You get fined. I mean, is it an oppressive amount of money? But so the government still, I think the government still benefits from you not voting anyway. ID and you get your name ticked off in your area. Okay. Wait, ticked off, you mean, so it's like, okay, we've checked this person has not voted and cool, done. We need to, $80. I have one pending. It's $75 for local. Okay, for local elections. Woo, discount. Well done, Groovy. I was more inclined to vote for local elections than national. $75. Skirt. $75 is what Groovy has to pay for not voting. All right, so that's quite an interesting set of events. That is a nice question for a think. Should people earn the right to vote? I didn't even know there was an election. Not fair. In South Africa, you know there's an election because the only way that they really campaign is they put signs up on the road signs, little placard things, and then you see them basically going and giving out t-shirts and hats to people in squatter camps and promising them a new life and blah blah. Such a horrible system. So many people forced to vote with NFI who they're voting for. Or they have no idea. Yeah, they just like, well, I'm voting because I have to. Cool. Interesting. The limits of democracy then. So then they'll be influenced quite easily by other people as well that maybe do know a little bit why they're voting. Can you go to prison if you don't pay the fines, the fee? I'm sure something happens to you. They'll just take it from you. I don't know. When the council starts cleaning the streets, we know there's an election coming. Yes. Also, another thing to discuss is the term limits. That's come up on my my Twitter feed quite a lot. Is abolishing term limits. That's supposed to be a good thing because then the way people govern is not just to keep power. They don't have to just hold on for 4 years and then roll over. I don't know. Okay, so can you riot? All right. Okay. It's a different prompt. Cool.
Know where to go from there then, because again, regardless of the circumstance.
Okay, fair enough. I don't really know where to go from there. Nice, Mark. If you don't know, you don't know. Regardless of the circumstances
by which feminism arose is kind of indifferent to me. This is kind of similar to conversations like I had earlier as far as like religion, for example, in society, right? It's more about the effects of it. And so regardless of the circumstances of how feminism arose, I think that the effects of it are probably advantageous.
Yeah, I'm with him. When I first read the prompt, basically the name of this video, I was like, okay, do I care where it came from? Or as in, yeah, okay, I care about being lied to about where it came from or something like that. But at the same time, I'm like, cool. As a result, am I mad that it happened? I'm not. As much as I'm annoyed with the feminists today, I am okay with the first and second wave of feminism. I'm very happy with those. So, like the sexual revolution stuff, all of that stuff is just like, okay, relax. We don't have to go all the way. Yeah, and today's feminists, just please, they're not ideologically attractive in any way. So, good. We made that progress, right? So he's going to set. This was initial thing. Oopsie. Okay, it doesn't know where to go from here. So I'm gonna just put. He brings us back by saying, regardless. Arose. Happy or happy with its effects. I kind of this kind of similar it's more about the effects. Regardless of circumstances of how feminism arrived, the effects of it are probably advantageous. Alright. We have mail-in voting and early voting, so the results are usually on the... Oh, really? On the election night? Jeez. I don't even remember how long it takes in South Africa. People thought I was joking about the street cleaning thing. We saw the bastards before the last election, but not again since. We'll see them next year again. Well done, yay! Wonderful. Guys, I don't know how to regulate my body temperature, so I'm just going to put one sleeve on and let's see how it goes.
I think the effects are deeply disadvantageous to both men and women. And I think women, if your concern is for women, we were better off prior to our liberation from the evil patriarchy. If you look at every metric that we have to...
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Her argument would be what I assumed her argument would be.
Assess women's happiness and well-being in modern times, it's lower than it was prior to when they started tracking this around the 1960s.
Okay. Prior to when they started tracking this. So... Huh? Wait. This is what we have the transcript for. Okay. So it's more about the effects. Okay, cool. I think the effects are deeply disadvantageous to both men and women. Okay, so I'm going to put that here as her main point. Okay, and then we'll break off on why she thinks this. Okay. And then she goes into, and I think women, if your concern is for women, we are better off prior to our liberation. We were better off prior to our liberation from the evil patriarchy. Okay. Women were better off prior to their liberation. Okay. If you look at every metric, so she wants to say every metric that we have to assess women's happiness. Okay. Every metric that we have to assess a woman's happiness and well-being in modern times, it's lower than it was prior to when they started tracking this around 1960s. Okay, so the reason I said was I was like, hold on, did they have these metrics in the 1960s? Did they even give a shit in the 1960s? So I want to know how. Yeah, if you look at every metric that we have, it's like, I guess the standard feminist thing is we weren't measuring. We didn't care about women. We weren't measuring how happy women were at that time because they weren't, they were the usual thing of, the medical science only cares about the male body. Most averages and recommendations are based on men's bodies because they're the only ones that were studied, blah 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 blah. So I guess, oh shit, little book is not here, but hey master, good to see you. What did I miss? You missed that feminism is a psyop by some radicalists that wanted to disrupt stuff. And women were actually better off when they were being oppressed. They were better off prior to the liberation. For me, I'm thinking I'm not too sure about these metrics, because I would criticize the way that they were being recorded previously. They were being recorded through a patriarchal lens. So yeah, guys, I guess some of my leftiness is coming out in this conversation.
So I think there's a problem with the data tracking there, right? I don't know this figures specifically, but I mean, you know, we have a lot less horses in our military than we also did back in like the 1800s, right? So
Sure.
I think that.
Well, let me ask you, what do you
No, let him finish, you fuck! Kitty, are you feminist? I'm old school feminist, as in, yeah, women should be able to live alone in society. They don't have to have a male chaperone to do anything, essentially. Women should not think they are men. They should not try to be men. But if they cannot find a partner, that shouldn't be the end of them. You know? Okay, so do we give... I want to minus a point. She interrupted. Should I? The bad interruption. I don't know. I've looked at the scoreboard. Horses in the military is a non sequitur. No, the horses thing, I think he's trying to say that things changed or metrics changed. The reason for us to measure things changed. So
think
Did back in like the 1800s, right? So I mean, you know, we have a lot less horses in our military than we also did back in like the 1800s, right? So
Sure.
I think that.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think it did for women? Why do you think, or for anyone, what do you think the advantage?
okay, so I do want to just put a, like, maybe I'll take half a point. Bad girl, Rachel. But I think she understood his point that he was just saying the data. This is basically my point. I think there is a problem. The data tracking there. Okay, that's as far as she let him go, and then she's going to ask over here. So it's all of that happened. Then it's like, okay, well, let me ask you, what do you think the advantages were? Okay, and I suppose this question is to get him to list some things, and then she will just debunk them. Basically, she'll be like, well, actually, by the way, women are this and this and this. Okay.
Are? Why was it good?
Well, I think specifically just giving equal footing and opportunity to women, which I don't think is even entirely fulfilled at this point. But I'm sure that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the traditional, you know, female role.
What
but
opportunities did?
Okay, so I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the. So first, you know what? I'm taking it off. Sorry. You don't need to speak over your opponent. I know that you've got limited time, but let him cook, let him think. Okay? Why do you think, or for anyone, what do you think the disadvantages, or why was it good? Well, I think specifically just giving equal footing and opportunity to women. Yeah. So equal footing and opportunity, women. And then at the same time, he does go, there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the traditional female role. So he's not like, oh my god, no, the women must be hooers and must be on OnlyFans and that's all they gotta do. He's he's also like, okay, yeah, I want them to have equal footing. So that's fine. And she's going to say, so from this, she goes, no, what opportunities didn't they get? Okay. What opportunities did they not have? Literally academics, certain careers, and it's not like, oh no, there's no, if we come to giving people opportunities, you will still see women gravitate towards people-centered things, not things-centered things when it comes to studies. But yeah, the fact that they would be educated, they would be educated in entertaining men, essentially. Like, I can play the piano and I can read books, I can read poetry, and that's about it. So the fact that they could go and be, I'm not talking about being a secretary in the workforce. I'm talking about them being executives, and as in having the ability to do so.
They not have.
Well, voting for one.
Yes, voting it had to be fought for. Okay, and she thinks that that's completely debunked. It's not.
But, even in the workplace,
men
right?
couldn't vote either.
You still had to fight for the women. Why were they not given the vote at the same time? Were women able to own land? Because we're talking about men, or men were also oppressed. Why were they not oppressed equally? If we're talking about equality, right? If the measurement is equality, I would like to know why they are not equally oppressed. Why was there extra oppression? If we're gonna go, oh well, everybody was oppressed, and then our question is, okay, cool, we were all at oppression level. What was the level if we break down the data between male and female? Were females more oppressed than the male? Yes. That's it. All you've done is said, well, men were also oppressed. Okay. But women were still singled out as not having the same right as a man. Oh, but it was for 10 years. Does not matter. We still had to fight for it, right? It still had to be a thing. It still had to be something that changed in society. As if any of our votes count. Yeah, that's true. If feminism grows bigger, they will start to believe that men having intercourse with women is patriarchy because the man is dominating the woman with pee-pee. And then they will die out. Listen, Wesley, they've already done that. There are feminists that are like that. Feminists do think that all sex is non-consensual. There are some. That's why I stand out against those. It didn't fight for it. Men did. Okay, fine. Even if men did, why was it fought for? Why was it not there in the beginning? As a woman, I will say, well, why did I have to ask you? Why did I have to ask you? I shouldn't have to ask, is essentially what I'm saying. Men died for your rights. Hey, that doesn't make me, less grateful. That doesn't preclude what I'm talking about here. Oh, they died for my rights? Okay, yes. Okay, so competitive voting. Okay, so we have the voting bit. She's like, oh, men. Okay, so we rehashing this thing where I don't think it's entirely fulfilled at this point. Okay, hold on. He's also said, sorry, that also wasn't entirely fulfilled at this point. He's put into point equal footing. I wonder if his idea of equal footing is equal outcome. Because that's not a good thing. You need to be allowed. Are you allowed? Okay. Is there a barrier, a literal, in writing, you have to be female to do this, or you have to be male to do this? That is what I'm looking for. Okay, anything wrong with the traditional, female role? Opportunities did they not have? Well, voting for one, but even in the workplace, men couldn't vote either for the most part. Yeah, and we fixed it, right? So that I think that it isn't, just because. Okay, so I don't know if he's going to be able to get to the point, but it's like, oh, well, men couldn't vote either. Initially. The thing is, they couldn't vote either initially, and then we still hadn't. But anyway, okay, I would want to speak to him.
Yeah, and we fixed it, right? So I think that this is
Men fixed it, not women. You're not getting it. It doesn't need to. The people who change the laws does not have to be. That is not part of the actual discussion. The fact is, was it wrong? Was it wrong and needed fixing? Okay, so men couldn't vote either.
Just because it was a wrong before that for men doesn't mean that it still was unequal.
So do you
Yeah. Okay, just because it was wrong. Yeah. Okay.
think that we would have the welfare state without female voters? Do you think?
Okay, so now she's gonna say, oh, it's the female voters that creates the welfare state. Okay. Side quest, essentially, because we're going into a different discussion. I need to put his bit in there. But even in the workplace, men couldn't vote either for the most part. Yeah, we fixed that, right? So that isn't, just because it was wrong before for men doesn't mean it still wasn't unequal. Yeah. It was, I suppose, wrong. I mean, I'll say unfair for men before doesn't mean it wasn't wrong before men. Doesn't it mean it was wrong before men? Wrong before. And I'll say for a woman. Okay, yeah. That whole thing just doesn't, logically it doesn't cancel out for me. Because I would need them to have been both released from their oppression at the same time. Okay, and you women still complain? You woman, which woman? Oh, I should all look up. We should all look up to them. Okay. Okay. You're a very good man. Because you're a man and you told me to do it, I'm gonna do what you said. Thank you, honey.
I think the welfare state is a good thing.
I'm not, I don't understand the question. I apologize.
So would we have...
I'm complaining. You know what I'm gonna complain about, though? Is your grammar. Right, so...
massive entitlement spending? Would we have...
What was the question? He didn't understand the question. Yeah, the question, I think, the reason he says he doesn't understand the question is because we're not continuing with what you've said here. We're going to our own question. So, advantages, and then it's like, well, hey, he doesn't know where this comes from, but this is part of the, this is part of the, what's her name? Her repertoire, right? She's going to talk about this. This is part of her argument that she needs to bring out. So we're going to ask you this question. She's directing the conversation. She's not continuing with what he said. She's going to ask a question. So do you think that we would have the welfare state without female voters? Okay. So I suppose what she would have is historical data here that says that shows that this is actually how the welfare state emerged. That actually, without the female voter, there would be no welfare state ever. Do you think the welfare state is a good thing? Okay, so hold on. Now, hold on. A good thing. Okay.
have food stamps? Would we have open borders and all these perks for immigrants coming in where they're getting free housing and healthcare and food if it weren't for female voters?
Okay, so it's the female voters only. Food stamps. Okay, do you think the welfare state is good? I don't understand the question. I apologize. So would we have massive entitlement? So I'll just say I don't understand the question. Not great from him that I don't understand the question. Be like more rather than I don't understand the question, say, whoa, you've jumped from what I was trying to say. You've moved us to another. You're changing the subject. Let's talk about this instead. But instead he just says, I don't understand the question, just to see where she's going. So she gets to rephrase, and she gets to go, okay, cool. Would we have, so she's going on about the, would we have massive entitlement spending, all of that she's bringing in here. Would we have massive entitlement spending? Okay, so I would say, okay, so you're positing that because of women we have all of these things, right? Because of everything went wrong when we allowed women into the voting sphere. Would we have food stamps? Would we have open borders? Okay, this is getting emotional stuff. This is getting, look at all of the things. Look at all of the pile on I can do with all of these things. And I'm going to spend my 1 minute saying these. All these perks for immigrants coming in where they're getting free housing and healthcare and food if it weren't for female voters. Okay, so you would have to prove that, and the way she says it, it's as if it's true. Okay, so let's see.
I think you still would. I don't think female voters necessarily have to sway those things, but I also...
The data says that overwhelmingly they are the most reliable voting bloc for all types of...
Voters... I think you still would. I don't think female voters necessarily have to sway those things, but I also...
The data says that...
Okay, so... Cool. That's the whole point. This is what people, why when in a debate when people are asking questions, right? A lot of the time in debate brain, people won't answer questions because they know that this tactic is actually happening. Where if I ask you questions, I'm about to pull out a fact that scares you. I'm about to pull out a fact that goes against your argument, right? So kudos to him at least for saying I don't understand the question, and then also saying, okay, cool, well, here is my argument. Okay, my answer is I don't think women, I think it would still happen. Okay, you still would. I don't think you still would. Yeah, so you still would. I don't think women would sway those. He does say necessarily sway those those things. Okay. And we've got, would we have open borders and all these perks for immigrants coming in where they're getting free housing and healthcare and food if it weren't for female voters? Okay. Interesting. Okay, so female voters, but I guess she also wants to, we also need to then talk about the people that are giving these women the vote, as in like giving them the options. Who is pushing this in government themselves as well? I want to know. Why are they doing it? So I'm sure she has that knowledge. That's part of her whole shtick, right? She's got that knowledge. So why would men do this then? Why would the radical people do this? How does it serve them? Because it seems like it doesn't serve anyone here. If you're talking about the welfare state and all of this stuff happening because of women, why? Why have we allowed that then? If this was the whole reason we did feminism, if that was the whole reason, then who does it benefit? She said radicalized people. Okay, so in the beginning, her wording was AstroTurf social engineering project by radical revolutionaries. So I want to know why would the radical revolutionaries want that? Do they want that because they want to tear down society? I think that would be my assumption based on what she's building up here, is that they would want to tear down society. They would want to tear down the West, and that's how they do it. Okay. You still wouldn't. I think women would necessarily do this. So then she's got a response for that. Exactly like I said, she is going to, what's her name? She is going to, the way she said that, I knew she had the figures. They're the most reliable voting bloc. Okay. So the most reliable voting bloc that overwhelmingly, okay, the voting bloc for all types of entitlements, especially open borders, okay, and immigration. If you go back through historically right, and again, I'd know the topic, so I don't have any literature. Okay, so this is him. And immigration. Okay.
Overwhelmingly, they are the most reliable voting bloc for all types of entitlements, especially open borders and immigration.
If you go back though historically, right, and again, I didn't know the topic, so I don't have any literature to like literally support this, but women had a lot of influence in the House even when they couldn't vote, right?
Exactly.
So, but we gave the ability to women to express their own independent votes. They are a vote. And so if, let's just say you're right, that women are a major proponent for, policies we see in immigration, who cares? They're still a part of our populace. They get to have a say on this.
If you're
Yeah. They're not supposed to get... No, we don't like what they're saying. That's the point. We don't like what they're saying. They're not allowed to. That's what he's upset about. So he's saying, no, fine. If that's what they are, then the data doesn't matter, because we do want them to be able to say what they do. So, first of all, he does say women had a lot of influence in the House. So he brings that up. And I was scared he was going to go and say, well, women had a vote essentially through that. Then she's like, exactly, which, yeah. Even when they couldn't vote, but, okay, so now he's going, but hold up. So she's like, exactly. That's what she's saying. She's like, they were better off because they could speak to their husband about it, right? They could speak to their husband and make their husband vote a certain way. Or have ideas, right? So I don't know where he was gonna go with that initially, and then maybe he saw where it was going, so he's like, meh. But gave the ability to women to express their own independent votes. Yes, they are a vote. See, you had to have a man to have a vote. You had to have a husband, or you belong to your father, essentially, in order to have an opinion at all. They are a vote, and so it let's just say you're right that women are a major proponent for policies we see. Well, they should. Who cares exactly who? Basically, she's saying take away their right because we want to change society. We don't like the way women are voting. Take it away from them. So speaking of social engineering, if we take away the woman's right, we will be able to change society, because the woman's opinion has had too much influence on our policies. Okay. We gave the ability to women to express their own independent votes. They are a vote. And if that's to say you're right that women are a major proponent, who cares? They're still a part of our populace. That's basically the underlying thing. They're still part of our populace. They should have it. No, they shouldn't, because it doesn't suit me. Our populace, they get to have a say on this. If you're a woman and you're living in New York City, other places, there's tons of illegal immigration, and you're now being subjected to disproportionate amounts of violence. You voted for it. This is a thing that people are saying. Okay, so anyway, they're still part of a populace. They have a say on this. Okay, so I would expect the New York thing is from her point of view. This is him. Okay.
a woman and you're living in New York City or other places where there's tons of...
and make a positive argument. Women are human beings. They have brains. Okay. They are as prone to stupidity as men. They are as prone to tribalism as men. They can be psychologically manipulated the way men can be psychologically manipulated. They exist as human beings, therefore, they should exist within the populace the way a man does. This is not rocket science, unless you really do think that a woman's brain is really just, it's properly incapable of doing what a man does, thinking the way a man can. Like, as in, you cannot do the same maths calculations. You cannot do any of that. If you are properly of the idea that women are absolutely less than men, then fine, take away their vote. If you think they are incapable compared to men, incapable of thinking compared to men, because that's what I'm working on, please put it in chat whether you think I should be able to vote. I would like to know who I'm talking to here. Do you think that I should not have the ability to vote in a country? In my country of origin, South Africa. Fuck no, okay, thank you. I could have picked that one up there on Jen. I kind of sussed you out. I'm so cool with that. I've gone back and forth on that one, okay. Nope. Okay, so do you think, but the person in the street though, the person in the street that's homeless, the male, he is allowed to vote though, as long as he's got his ID. Yeah. Right? He has more capacity to make a better decision than me. No, you don't want him to vote. Oh, you're the only one that needs to vote. I know Paffy is a dictator, so he doesn't want anyone to vote ever. We've got Chucky 1 or 2. Okay, I'm actually gonna put it in the chat here. Just want to know how much of you go, how far you guys go with this idea, and I wonder what the fuck you're doing here. What are you doing listening to me? What are you here for? I just want to know. If you're here to laugh, I can understand it, but what are you here for? If you're of the opinion that a woman should not vote. If you own land or property, you should be able to vote. Bored. Oh no, I'm so sorry I've bored the internet stranger. Please, God, help me. Leave. Get out. Okay. I'm with the Crucible. Okay. Mark isn't the Crucible, is he? Is he? Okay. No, I'm here because I'm bored. Okay. But if you're here because you're bored, I'm entertaining you. Oh, well, I guess, yeah, I mean, like a dancing bear can be entertaining. It doesn't have to be intelligent to be entertaining. Okay, so, here we go. I'll give you guys a poll. Should a woman, like Kitty, for instance, be able to vote in an election? Yes. No. Okay. Which country? My country. Any country then. I suppose my country, South Africa. This is not meant to insult women, but feminism has created a level of dissonance in which I do not think it can be reconciled. Probably, Matt. Dissonance, like, of the idea that we're different and we are different. I'm okay with that. But when it comes to human value, the value of a human mind, the value of a human intellect being less than another because of having a penis, then I'm gonna have to say fuck you. And I know that you're not gonna care because I'm just a little girl, but I'm still gonna say fuck you. Yeah, Whitey, they need your vote. If it was stable and cool, you'd probably not care about voting like here. Okay. I'm not putting a vote into that because it's too simplistic. I think you need to put skin in the game to get a vote. Okay. Is living in a country? So you're saying because I don't live in the country, I don't have it. I voted yes. Okay. For fun, for anarchy, Taffy. I do want to ask you though, if your vote is no, what are you? I would like you to tell me what you're doing here. Tell me honestly. Upset me. Make me cry. Tell me what you're doing here. Tell me exactly what you're doing, spending time. What is it that I'm feeding you by you being here? Does it make you feel good to be here? Am I cute because I'm trying to think? Is that the idea for you? Like, I know that Spoon for one would say, oh, it's cute that she's trying. Maybe she should shut the fuck up. But I'm wondering, why should I be on the internet if I shouldn't be able to vote? What is the point of me existing and sharing any part of my mind with you? Just being honest, I do want you. Good morning, Lucifer. If you don't like it, boo-hoo. Yes, okay. Women are the most valued thing on the planet other than children. Okay, I'm still not getting any idea about valuing a mind. Thoughts. I'll just say it, lately we have seen too many emotional women ruining things, and I think that's the mentality men and a lot of women have now. I'm curious, Kitty, based on your own logic, should children have the right to vote because they're human and have value? No, they're not fully developed yet. They're not adults. They cannot make choices for themselves. So, by your logic, Kiza, by your logic, I am not fully developed. I'm not developed enough to make choices for myself. I need a man to make those choices for me. So I need to be treated like a child. Because I am incapable of making choices myself. Women giving birth is the most valuable thing on the planet. And you eject above 30% and it's even good. That's a problem. I'm still not understanding. Okay, you guys still won't be honest about what you're doing here. I think Onion is the only one who has said it's just because he's bored. So that's fine. What about the disabled? Do they get a right to vote because they can't go to war? Interesting. That is a good question. There's no skin in the game there. They don't add to society. I don't support voting at all. Thinking outside the box, should sex offenders, criminals be allowed to vote? I'm wondering, do prisoners vote in America? No, you don't need a man to make those choices, but the psychology of men and women are very different. So therefore, men are more equipped to guide those decisions. Oh, I can't wait to tell my husband this. Be like, listen, I'm sorry, honey. I can't do any of this because I'm just a woman. I'm just a woman. I'm just a girl in the world. And you know what? It's cool. I'm just going to stay at home. And you know what? I should just have a baby because that's the only thing I'm good for. And I'm sure he's going to agree. I'll let you guys know. Anyway, it's been quite enlightening. I don't know if I would be friends with all of you guys in real life. Because eventually I'm going to have this feeling that you're just playing with me. And you don't find me interesting as a human being at all. And that's pretty lame. I'm not, if there's no mutual interest here, if you're basically looking at me like a cute little dog, maybe not even a cute dog, just an ugly dog, and you're just throwing treats at her, I don't think I'm interested in you. And yeah, some changes will come to the community because of that. In South Africa, prisoners vote. That is going swimmingly. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, we are at, where is our poll at? It's at 50% still. And how many votes? It's not even telling me. Wow, 10 votes. So we've got 5 people saying yes and 5 people saying no. Very good. Yet we have how many people? 17 watching. I guess that's the idea. We don't vote here. There we go. Trying to help. okay, what if you were me, what would you do? I mean, you are a man, so you should tell me what to do. And I will tell you. You said you're trying to help. Please tell me what I'm supposed to do so I can be a better woman. No, you shouldn't have a baby. You should have like 7. We are having a population crisis now. I probably would not be able to have a baby anyway. Read Rachel's book. Okay. Human nature will just always turn the clocks back again to some point. It's built in. Yeah, if the pendulum swings. I would have told you that you shouldn't do this. React to a substanceless person, attract a substanceless audience. Is this a substanceless person? Listen, they're interacting with her. And I do need to challenge myself with substancelessness. I did not vote in the poll. I guess I'm a woman now. Well done, Wesley. You've transitioned. Okay. So when they try and fail, it's I'm just a girl, but if you lead them, they're mad that they're just a girl. Do you see the dissonance? Okay, so that's the dissonance you're talking about when you lead them. Okay. What is the okay? Then I would need to say what is leading. What is your idea of leading? Leading for me is I'm able to consult with you. I'm able to talk to you and ask you questions and things like that. In terms of how my husband leads me, but in terms of him making absolute decisions about me and my body and all of that, lead me, but don't just lead me. Lead me when I don't want to be led. When I want to, that is very human, very female. Okay. Okay, so anyway, I think you and Gordon would be good parents. Thank you, Lucifer. I appreciate that, even though I'm not going to. I'd argue Wilson's arguments are not substantiated. There are tons of crazy people online with bigger audiences than Wilson's. I don't know, she's probably found, we need the side check, fact check. Okay, let's continue with this. So, I mean, it is a very, what do you want to even call it? It's a very soft argument, but they're still part of our populace. They get to have a say on this. That is the fundamental underlying thing there, which is you are not valuing the psyche of a human being just because it's different to the other psyche. Like, yes, you're saying that the value of a woman is not in her mind at all. And that's sad. That's quite sad. But if that's the way the world is for you, it's the way the world is for you.
Illegal immigration, and you're now being subjected to disproportional amounts of violence that you weren't subjected to before.
That's not true.
Oh, no, he's gonna go, it's not true. No. Your answer should be, well, then they voted for that. Maybe they should change it. They should realize that that's not that's not good for them. But I guess the argument then is they're too stupid. They should have noticed. They should have spoken to men, because men knew the truth. Men are faultless. They don't succumb to these kinds of things. No, go ahead and substantiate that. So immigrants. Okay, hold on. We're not there yet. I've copy pasted the wrong bit. If you're in New York City. Disproportionate violence, tons of legal immigration, and you're now being subjected to disproportionate amounts of violence. Yeah. Cool. And he's just, well, don't. No, that's not it. Okay.
Okay.
No.
Go ahead and substantiate that.
Yeah, so immigrant.
Oh, because he said no, that's not true. Okay. What is the truth then? Okay. Go ahead and substantiate that.
It's illegal immigrants, specifically, if you obviously remove the illegal part of the immigration, literally just commit crimes at lower rates than national.
So you think that all the
Sorry, legal immigrants. Did you just... No, we're talking about illegal ones. She used the word illegal.
Mexican
immigration immigrants specifically, if you obviously remove the illegal part of the immigration, literally just commit.
When you remove the illegal part of the immigration, you're changing the demographic completely. Those are two different groups. Immigrants, as in I would be an immigrant in Dubai. Not that I have citizenship, but I have residence. Immigrant here, okay. But if I'm illegal, that's a different demographic. So when you if you just take out the illegal part, that doesn't work, Mike. That doesn't work. So that's not true. So his substantiation is, immigrants, illegal immigrants specifically. But then his statement is about illegal immigrants. If you obviously remove the illegal part of the immigration, literally just commit crimes at lower rates than natural born citizens. Okay, so he's just gonna say that. I'm gonna keep his wording here because I'm not too sure. If you obviously remove because he starts his sentence off with illegal immigrants. If you obviously illegal immigrants, if you obviously remove the illegal part of the immigration, literally just commit crimes at a lower rate than national born citizens. I think he meant natural born, but okay. Or when he says if you're removing the illegal part, is he meaning if you're removing the base crime, the original sin of it, entering the country illegally, they don't commit crime.
Crimes at lower rates than national.
So you think that all the Mexican gangs?
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Mexican gangs. So yeah, I wasn't really on par with him there. You don't need to get into the immigration thing. You would have to talk about the whole point that you're talking about there is that why did the woman vote that way? Here, she's basically saying because the woman's vote did not go in a good way, we must now remove the ability. Just take it away. So if there's ever any demographic that votes the wrong way, that votes in a way that actually changes society towards the worst, we need to remove that demographic. And that's how we eventually just stray from democracy, and we remove the flaws from democracy, as most people, as the very based would say. Okay, so we've got Mark, and now next is... Okay, next is
Hello.
Lutch.
Well, surprise, surprise, I agree with Wilson.
He agrees with Wilson. Lutch. Okay. Okay, let's go. He agrees. So he starts off with his agreement.
But is it fair to, since we agree on feminism specifically, is it fair to shift it to women voting specifically?
Well, there's going to be a few prompts along those lines. So
Okay, hold on.
this
Shift it to, is it fair to, since we agree on feminism specifically, is it fair?
Okay, so he agrees on agree with Wilson on feminism. So he agrees on the origins of feminism, right? Okay, where do we want to go with this? Yeah, well, surprise, surprise, I agree with the Wilson, but is it fair, since we agree on this feminism specifically, is it fair to shift it to women voting specifically? Okay.
To shift it to women voting specifically.
Well, there's going to be a few prompts along those lines. So this first one is just that feminism was not a reaction to oppression of women by men.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you agree on it, then just talk about agreeing on it. If there's going to be other prompts, then just talk about what you agree about.
I think a lot of people agree with that. Again, I think that's,
I'd say
there's
the
a lot of
vast
people that
majority
don't.
of people don't agree that that's the case.
Okay, so now we're just going to talk about who agrees and who doesn't. on this. Okay.
And they would say, well, if that's the case, why do we have it? You know, how did we get it if it wasn't a reaction to some kind of oppression?
The same way we still have feminism today, that people can be wrong, and a lot of people can be wrong. I think a lot of people, it seems like you present that as like, oh, people are going to disagree with me.
They do all
They do. That's she makes her money on them disagreeing
the
with her.
time, every day. So every gender studies professor in every major university would disagree with me. And they would
but-
say that the reason feminism and women's liberation activism was necessary was because there were certain aspects where women were oppressed by men.
Sure, but don't you
I feel like isn't it a dual thing that there was a certain status quo, and then I suppose the radicalists, the people that you spoke of that created this, they exploited this part of society, this characteristic, and convinced people to move against it. It existed in society, then people exploited it. That's how a kind of a psyop works. Like, it pushes buttons that exist in humanity and in the situation. So, okay, you presented as people. We're still. What have we really gotten through here? I can't. They're kind of arguing about whether people agree with it. Many people agree with you. And she's like, no, they don't. Many don't. Academics, gender studies. Academics would disagree. Disagree, okay. Profession, every major university would disagree with me, and they would say that the reason feminism activation was necessary was because there were certain aspects where women were oppressed by men. Sure. Don't you think especially the last election is shown that the opinions that unfortunately... Okay, so let's see.
I think especially with the last election, it's shown that the opinions that unfortunately absolutely were infiltrated by these types of professors and throughout society. Doesn't that show that there was the silent majority? A lot of people didn't really want to go along with it, but they were too scared to be on the wrong side of history or whatever. And that now that we're starting to see, oh, there's a lot more people who are normal, like who just see, yeah, obviously feminism is this, obviously.
Okay, let's read you. Indian Jesus boy. Okay, what do you have it? Okay, so it would say, well, if that's the case, how did we get it if it wasn't a reaction to some kind of oppression? The same way we still have feminism today. So he said that people can be wrong. So let me just put that in here as well. We still have feminism because people can be wrong. Okay, cool. Then and a lot of people can be wrong, yeah. I don't think a lot of people... Okay, so he's just going on this whole point that many people do agree with her. Okay? That's kind of what they're disagreeing on, and then...
Pride parades are too crazy, all that stuff.
Well, if you agree with me on the prompt, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to argue with you, but...
I agree. That's
Yeah.
but I didn't make the prompt.
Okay, why don't you guys go over why you believe? What should happen is why you believe this. What brought you to this idea? What is the evidence? Let's talk about who those radical guys are that created this. Talk about that. So they're dealing with agreeing with each other. That's great.
You made the prompt.
Right. But if you don't disagree with me on the prompt, am I supposed to change the prompt or change my position or
No, you guys need to actually speak to each other.
Change my. You could challenge me on something else, I suppose.
Well, I did, but you said you have a different prompt. For
you
that.
said that.
So okay, well
what's
then-
your
so
proposition?
what-
is that
what-
people do agree with me? You think that the vast
Yeah,
majority
I
of
think-
people think
yeah.
that feminism was
The vast majority.
not a reaction to
I
oppression?
don't know. I don't know what people think about the origins, but I think it's far more common that people be like, I don't really know the origins, but wherever it is today, like it definitely wasn't this. And I'll say, even anecdotally,
I think you just know a bit more based people. I think Indian Jesus is that way.
even calling myself an atheist, I've been thinking about that title in the same way as feminism. Like if you see just an average a woman today, and she says, "I care about the equality of the genders," like you wouldn't call, oh, you're a feminist?
Yes, I would.
Well,
Feminism-
maybe you would, but again, the average person believes that there should be equality of the genders. And
Okay, so here we go. The average person believes there should be equality of the genders. Okay. Yeah, I guess you guys can argue about that. So you can talk about its origins, as Mark said as well. I don't really care where it came from. I just agree that it should be a thing. So, okay. But I guess the argument, if we could go there, is, well, without feminism, you wouldn't have, without the psyop, you wouldn't think this way. Without the psyop, you wouldn't think of women as needing equality. You wouldn't have that idea. You were just psyoped into it. It's not in the natural state of being. It's not that there was something wrong and we needed to change it, or we progressed. Okay, so this is quite a big thing. The average person does believe that. I think that's true. She shouldn't contest that. She should just say, well, they're wrong.
so when you're like, feminist,
I don't think
it's when you're
equality of
talking
the
about,
genders
oh,
is
men,
possible.
Men are this.
Okay, so yeah, so there we go. That's it. We're having a conversation. Have a good conversation. Equality of the genders is not possible. Okay, that's a good prompt. Go, Indian Jesus. Ask her. Okay, cool. Why is it not possible? What is possible? What is your ideal? There's so many questions you could ask here after you agree to make a good conversation. So equality of between genders is impossible. Okay. Is impossible. Okay, and also love how we're saying genders and not sex.
I need 9-month abortions. That's the understanding that people have when we use that word. I think I think you're.
Yeah, in today's world, when somebody says they're a feminist, we see somebody who's fighting for abortions at 9 months. That kind of crazy-ish. Not just somebody who's just like, yeah, I think women and men and women should be equal. We just usually have that idea. So the extreme is now the norm in terms of who we should call a feminist. So feminism now. For abortion at 9 months. Not just, so I'm just gonna, this is how I'm interpreting him, not just wanting equality. Okay, between sexes. Alright. Right, let's go. There we go. Okay, but this could have been a better, this could have been a better discussion.
Underestimating the amount of people who do see through all the BS that has held up until very recently.
No,
And
she's
there's a lot of people
got an
still
audience, so I'm sure she knows.
there. But I don't I mean I don't know who you're talking to if they're disagreeing with you, but I don't know how well they represent average people.
Well, the gentleman who just sat there before you said that he felt that women not being able to vote was an example of women being oppressed.
I agree with that, but I don't
Interesting.
think that means
Why
that,
do you
that
think
doesn't mean that
why do you think that was oppression?
I
Because
mean,
one
in the
group
loosest
couldn't
term,
vote.
it's just the government not allowing you to do something. Is that not?
Yeah, the government didn't allow lots of people to do lots of things. So I
yeah.
don't
You guys know what I think of that though. Okay, the gentleman before you said, okay, so we've got Mike said he doesn't he not being able to vote was oppression. Okay, and we've got I agree with that. Why? So she's asking why. This is a good question for us to get onto. Tell us why. Oh, well, one group was not allowed to do something. The government was not allowing you to do something. Oh, well, it was happening all over the place. SJ, well, yeah, it was oppressing everyone, so that's fine. No, it did not equally oppress everybody, because once the oppression was removed, it remained on another group. That's still a case of one group having something that another group doesn't. Unless you are of the opinion that that other group does not need or deserve what the previous group had, then you have to have that opinion, actually. She has to agree that women don't need a vote, that it's fine. Because this idea of, okay, just because other people were oppressed, it's fine. Okay, just because others are oppressed, then it's fine. The government wasn't being special, wasn't doing a special oppression for them. Okay, or let's go back.
don't see
something. Is that not?
Yeah,
w-
the government didn't allow lots of people to do lots of things. So I
yeah,
don't see
yeah,
how you
so-
could say that this is an
right,
example
oppression
that
doesn't-
women are
oppression
oppressed.
isn't the end of the world necessarily.
I don't even think
I agree, but that-
amount.
Okay. Just sat there before you, felt that women not being able to vote was an example of women being oppressed. I agree with that. I don't think that means that. Why do you think it was oppression? Because the loosest term is just government not allowing you to do something. Okay, so we just have government not allowing you to do something. Okay, and then, well, government didn't allow other people to do it. Didn't allow lots of groups of people to do. That doesn't preclude it. It doesn't take it out for me, at least. I don't understand why it should. Okay. For the one characteristic of another, it's like, am I taking crazy pills? This does not change it for me. Okay.
Yes,
to
but we agree
oppression.
that was oppression. that
I
they
don't
were
agree
oppressed.
that was oppression
So the
at
government's
all.
saying that
Okay, yep. She doesn't think it was oppression at all. What is it?
people cannot vote in the country they live is not oppression.
No, because this country was never founded with universal suffrage.
Okay. Okay, because... So it doesn't matter. It's because of the founding. So when we founded our country, it was founded on, it was founded on dictatorship. And that's it. It was never meant to be anything else. So therefore, it needs to remain what it was. It was never founded on universal suffrage, so it can't have universal suffrage. I guess her argument is it only functions. It functions the best without universal suffrage. That's it. For it to be this republic, it has to be. It can't have universal suffrage. It was a mistake. So I would ask her, I would want to know, who should have votes? Should it only be men? Is it something as arbitrary as gender? Or is it should we go back to landowners, degree owners, things like that? Who should have a vote then? Which year do we go back to if it's up to you? I just want to know so that I know your argument. Government didn't allow for groups of people to do things. Right. So we don't think. So next to it, his response was, so didn't allow. I don't agree that was oppression. So the government saying people cannot vote in the country they live is not oppression. No, because this country was not supposed to be. Okay. The government saying that makes sense. Okay. Then what? No, because this country was never founded with universal suffrage. Okay. I mean, yeah, this country that I'm living in doesn't have suffrage in it. Oh, sorry, that's not it. That's not the right thing. Copy. Country was never founded on universal suffrage. So if they were to bring in the vote here in UAE, that would ruin the country because it wasn't founded on that principle. That's not how it works. Okay, this is what I'm understanding from her. It's not supposed to have. So this system was corrupted by giving universal suffrage. So my question is, who should vote? What year do year's rules return? Like the founding rules, the founding fathers thing? Okay.
It was never intended to be something where one person, one vote was the way that they did things. It was supposed to be people with stake in the game.
How would you
Okay, yeah, stake in the game, okay? How would you? Yeah.
characterize that notion of a person living in a country and they can't be part of the decision?
Right
What would you
now,
call that?
there's a
That's a nice way to word it, but I don't think she cares. She doesn't care about. She doesn't even have a term for that. That is not even on her radar. This idea. How would you characterize that notion of a person living in a country that can't be part of a decision? Life. I think maybe she'll characterize it as life. That's a really good question. What do you think? No. That notion of how would you? Okay, I don't know. She would probably say it's the way it is. It's the way it should be. It's the same as living here.
a lot of things I don't have any participation in the decision making. There's a lot. I like during COVID restrictions, for example.
Okay.
I had no say. You had no say. The things were dictated to us from the top down.
Okay, so she's like, well, we don't have decisions ever, so it doesn't matter. So there it's going back to someone said it in chat. We need to talk about the value of a vote anyway. The purpose of a vote. Is there really any value in voting in the first place? So her argument is I don't have the option anywhere else. So maybe a vote is just the illusion that you do have some sort of control over your life or the way things go. You have some sort of power. It's a soothing method. Okay. Right now there's a lot of things that don't have any participation. Okay, so there's nothing. So this is the same sort of mentality of, well, other people were oppressed anyway. Lots of people were oppressed anyway. Oh, well, I already don't have a say in a lot of things in my life, so who cares about voting? There's a lot of things that don't have any participation in the decision making. So like example would be COVID. I had no say, you had no say, the things were dictated to us from the top down. Okay, so they like 30 seconds, okay. cool. So she's like, it doesn't really matter. So this is what makes her comfortable. She's like, I am already subject to these forces anyway. A vote is not going to protect me.
I just got my 30 seconds. So what would you call that aspect? I live in a country and I don't have. That's.
Oh, nice, dude, nice. Lutch has made her go back to this question. He's like, no. Okay, what would you call that?
Called. It's not oppression. It's
just not oppression is a very specific thing. It means that you're intentionally being held down.
okay. So then it's
Right.
that.
Lovely. Okay, so here we've got is a specific thing. It's a specific thing. Let's give him the example where it is. It's not just suppression. It means that you're intentionally being held down. So wait, the things were dictated from the top. What would you call that accent? I live in a country, and I don't. What is it called? That's called oppression. That's not oppression. So she's decided it's not oppression. What would you call living in a country and I don't have a vote? Okay. So it's not called. What is that called? Not oppression. Oppression is a specific thing. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we're going into the idea, the definition there we're going into an idea of, yeah, we need to actually define oppression too. So, it's not, oppression is a specific thing. It's that you're being intentionally held down. Okay, so oppression is you're intentionally held down, and yes, go Lutch. It's that you're intentionally being held down. You're intentionally that's the idea. We have to argue about what oppression is. You're still playing with the definition of oppression here, lady. Okay, it's that, and he goes, well, it's that. Okay, so then it's that. It's like, okay, yeah, that still fits. That still fits with my definition. I'm being held down. I'm not being given an opportunity to have my say.
I don't think it's...
Because the whole point of voting is to vote for a representative. Vote for somebody who takes your values and represents them at a higher level, right? That's the whole point of voting for parties and things like that. People that are representatives of you. People will not ever really be exactly as you are, but you have to find the best representative possible. That's the whole idea of voting, right? You're not letting me have a say in who represents me and my interests. I can't have a say in my own specific interests. I can't be like, I'm traveling, I'm a sovereign citizen, blah, 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 blah. Okay? I can't do that. I understand. I'm under the yoke, or I'm under the rule of law. I understand that. But you, in terms of freedom, I should be able to say this person over here is going to speak for me. That's how we're supposed to manage it, because we can't all have a say all at once. So a vote distills that down. That's the whole idea that's behind it. But you taking that away from me, she's like, well, it has no value anyway, so I'm not taking anything from you. Nothing of value was lost, the argument. And what does she say?
Holding you down. You can still live your life and do what you want. You don't need
a lot of people.
You can still live your life. It's not holding you down. Okay, it's not holding you down. You can still live your life. You can still live your life and do what you want, right? And so you can still live your life and do what you want. No, you can't. But you can do a lot of what you want, I suppose. We can do what we want within the law, obviously. Okay? Yes, I live in a monarchy. I still have to do everything according to the law of the land. And if they decided for however they felt. They could, I'm here at their pleasure. They can throw me out if they want. Yeah? It's not holding you down. You can still live your life and do what you want. Okay? And what
People don't
next?
vote and still live their lives.
Vote.
A lot of people don't vote and still live their lives, yeah? Okay. You don't need a lot of people. A lot of people but don't vote and still live their lives, yes. And live their lives, yes. Okay. Voting isn't necessary for quality of life.
Voting isn't necessary to,
I agree.
quality of life or freedom at all, really.
Oh, well, depending on where you live. Yeah, okay. The voting isn't necessary for quality of life. Okay. Voting isn't necessary for quality. In a stable democracy, maybe, I suppose. Yeah, okay. Where you're at, where you live, maybe. Still live your life and do what you want. You don't need a lot of people. Don't vote still. Voting isn't necessary for quality of life or freedom at all, really. Okay, or freedom. At all, really. Okay. You as a woman not being able to vote does not equal you being oppressed. Okay. I mean, we knew that this is what she was saying. Yeah. We know this. I think obviously saying to her, look, you having your vote taken away would not upset you, essentially. Of course not, it shouldn't. As a woman, the vote does not equal oppressed. Okay, cool.
You as a woman not being able to vote does not equal you being oppressed.
Sorry we agree too much.
Okay. Cool, so we've got an idea of you've got an idea of everything. She's given us an idea. What could you go to next? Does anybody disagree with her? What's going on? Okay, next person.
Sorry.
Rachel. If feminism wasn't a response to
Okay, who's this?
oppression, if
Chris. Okay, if feminism wasn't a response to oppression, what is it? Okay.
feminism wasn't a response to oppression, why the hell does feminism exist?
Okay, she did give us an example, but I guess we need to get into it again. Okay. Does feminism exist? I'll tell you why. Okay, I want to know why. I want to educate me more about these radical revolutionaries. Tell me why he. And I'm so glad that a woman is telling me about this. I wonder who gave her permission to do that. Okay.
Tell you why. There was a small group of radical revolutionaries who felt that the current system prior to this that we had through all of history was inherently oppressive to women because they felt that women and men were equal.
It was just a group of. So it's not that women. So that's the big reveal here. It's not that women thought they were oppressed. It was that there was a group that thought women were oppressed. Okay, so I'll tell you why. There was a small group of radical revolutionaries who felt that the current system prior to this is that we had through all of history was inherently oppressive to women because they felt women and men were equal. That's okay. You've got me there. I think okay. So the only difference is who did it right now in the way you're conceptualizing it. The only thing is that it wasn't women who decided. It was a group of revolutionaries. And yes, of course you would be a revolutionary if you are in a society that does not see women as equal. Then as a revolutionary, you would be against the status quo. And you would say, oh, there is something wrong here. So they saw there is inherently something wrong. There is oppression to women. That still sounds like it was created because women were oppressed. Oh, but you're saying that they viewed women as oppressed. They were wrong. Okay, I understand. They viewed women as oppressed and they were wrong. That's okay. But it still started for the same reason, which is women were oppressed. Like, they were viewed as, okay? I thought she had a lot more revolutionary stuff going on here. I thought it was like they wanted society to collapse and all of that stuff. That kind of radicalization. But here it's like they were radical. They thought women were equal to men. Whoa, it's crazy. Okay. That they're basically the same. That just different reproductive organs, right? Okay, so they're exactly the same. Yes. We're equal. Okay. And that's really the only difference. They should be anything a man could do. Okay.
They're basically the same. They just have different reproductive organs, right? And that's really the only difference. They should be anything a man could do, a woman should be doing. This is a very arbitrary stance to take. And if you look
very arbitrary. Okay, because you said so. Because you said it was arbitrary. Okay, organs, right? They should be anything a man could do, a woman should be doing. Okay. They should be doing any a man could do, a woman should be doing. If she so pleases. If she can do it, then she can do it. I am not of the opinion that women can physically do everything that men do. I'm not of that opinion. But their value as humans and their sentience and their ability to think and make decisions is still worthy of consultation. And in the same way as a man. That's it. That's wow.
Historically at what rights men and women had, I think you...
Okay, this is a very arbitrary stance to take. She decided that's, first of all, just arbitrary. It's an arbitrary... Like, why would you think that men and women are the same? Probably because they are created in the image of God and they are both equal in God's eyes. They are to be valued as human beings, as souls. That whole idea, that whole shtick. Okay, so there's a whole arbitrary stuff. So weird. Why would we think of them as valuable and having substance at all?
You could argue men were more oppressed than women.
Okay, so were they oppressed because they were men? Were they oppressed because they were men? Okay, arbitrary stance, number one. This is a very arbitrary stance, and if you look historically at what rights men and women had, I think you could argue men were more oppressed than women prior to even feminism. Okay, so men were more oppressed than women prior to feminism. Okay, were they oppressed? Again, my question is, were they oppressed because they were men? Your argument should be they were oppressed because they were the only ones functioning in society, right? They were the only ones doing it. Hey, Scoob! How you doing? Scoob, did you vote in the last election? Okay, so men were oppressed more oppressed than women prior to even feminism. Okay, my question here again is were they oppressed because they were men? Because they were, or what were certain classes? You voted! Well, nicely done, Scoob. Vote while you can.
prior even to feminism.
Seriously?
Yes, 100%.
Men were in what way? How were men more?
Yeah, that's when you ask. Tell me. Sorry, also not a blue one, a pink one. Okay. How? Okay, so yeah. How were they more oppressed than women?
Oppressed than women?
Well, women haven't ever been conscripted to go fight and die in wars, and especially prior to feminism, that was a really brutal thing about.
Okay, so conscription. Okay, yes, and that was because they were men. That works. That checks out. Okay, conscription. So they are forced to do it because they are men. This is an example. They are men. Okay, then
80% of men historically have ended up not, well, no, it's 60% of men historically have never been able to reproduce. They've never had the opportunity, whether it's because they died young as cannon fodder, couldn't get a wife, weren't selected to be married. Women, all you have.
okay, and we'll just go. What's it? 60% historically didn't reproduce, didn't get to reproduce. Because what? They never had the opportunity. Okay. So they did that, whereas women just had to. Women, they couldn't be a wife, weren't selected to be married. Oh, couldn't get a wife. Okay, so sorry, didn't get the opportunity. Conscription. Is she for state mandated marriage? Conscription, didn't get a wife. Couldn't get a wife. Okay, whereas women can reproduce. Okay. Whereas women, all you have to do is be fertile. Just had to be fertile. Women, all you have to do is be fertile and you're going to have a progeny. Yeah, you're going to have progeny, okay. But are you, yeah, you need somebody to be there to support you. So even then, when you have progeny, you do also have a man involved. Women, all you have to do is be fertile and you're never going to be sent to the front lines in a war that you don't want to. True. Women had to be fertile, no war. Not sent to the front line to die. Okay.
Have to do is be fertile, and you're going to have progeny. You're never going to be sent to the front lines in a war that you don't want to fight in. They don't have to work in coal mines. They don't
have to work in coal mines. Yeah. No coal mines. This is part of a thing that when it comes to women today, the fact that they argue that they are oppressed today, I point to this. Okay.
have to do the dirty, dangerous jobs that men have to do.
Women are very.
No dirty, dangerous jobs.
Very privileged. What does that have
Yes.
to do with feminism and
Well,
how
it's
it
not-
came about?
You can't.
Okay, so yeah, he agrees that women are pretty privileged. What does that have to do? How feminism came about. Okay. So it's like, fine, this is so you're saying they were more oppressed. Now my question was, were they more oppressed because they're men? It seems like it, yeah. That in that case, the demands of society on men were higher. Yeah. But when it comes to other choices, I still want to know why women didn't have extra. They didn't have the value that a man did. But I guess you could point to this. You could just say because they don't defend the country. They are not called upon. They're not part of the army. Then it makes sense that they don't do it if that's it. Just raw dogging a birth.
Claim that women are oppressed and also claim that they're
Women
privileged.
definitely were. Do you?
Okay. So you can't complain, you can't claim women are oppressed and privileged. They're oppressed in some ways and privileged in others. Because our lives are quite complex.
How could they be privileged and be oppressed?
Wait. Do you disagree that women were never oppressed?
Yes,
Do you agree?
I agree.
You agree? Wait, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that women have never been oppressed?
Yes.
Okay, so he asks you, do you believe women have never been oppressed? Okay. I really, one of the things I want you to do is just go to a Muslim country then, like a full Muslim country. Sharia law, that whole thing. Okay, do you believe women have never been oppressed? And doesn't even have to be Muslim. You can go back in history or anything. Okay, never been oppressed. Okay, so never, just never. Okay, and he's going to bring out the examples. Just, women don't. They aren't ever.
I believe that women were never.
Seriously?
Yes, as a
How
whole
could you
group.
possibly-
Who?
Yeah. Yes. They never. Okay, as a whole group.
Who
to
oppressed
believe
them?
that.
Who oppressed them? Listen,
The Catholic Church.
I saw your thing with Andrew, and you love to do this thing where you're like, but my presupposition, like you've never examined why you believe that.
No.
Why do you believe women were oppressed? You tell me why you believe that.
This is
Okay, that's good. Yes, never. Okay, he's like, whoa. But it's a good question. Why do you believe that? Women were oppressed. Why do I believe women were oppressed? Literally did not have the same freedom of movement as men. Not able to have bank accounts, credit cards, all those kinds of things. But I suppose that would be not good. You're not supposed to want that anyway.
literally a historical fact.
It's not a historical
not
fact.
have-
You can't assert it's a you can't just say it's a historical fact. That's just, you're gonna have to point it out. If somebody disagrees with you, you can't just say it's a historical fact. Okay, I understand that that's the instinct, because like if you're presented with somebody who's telling you that water isn't wet, you're just gonna be like, it's a scientific fact, it is. But if she does not believe it, and she has arguments behind it, you can't just say that. You're gonna have to explain to her what wetness is and what water is and what a scientific fact is. So let's see. But my proposition, like, okay, why do you believe women were oppressed? You tell me why you believe this. It's literally a historical fact. It's not a historical fact. Not having the right to vote. Women are oppressed currently is this, okay?
Having the right to vote.
Okay, so he's gonna go not having the right. So she's laughing. Quite a female thing to do. Be a bit of a cow. So no, not having the right to vote. She just spoke about that whole thing about, well, they were putting more into society, so that's it. Okay, sorry, that's his thing. It's a historical fact. That's not a good enough answer. So I'm gonna put you here, not having a right to vote then.
Women are oppressed currently.
Okay, women are oppressed currently. Okay. So let's see. I would like to see you in a niqab. Please show us what you look like in a niqab.
In this world, right?
Oh, explain.
Right? Less
I'd
so-
love to know how.
What do you mean?
Any
they can't
example?
drive. They can't go out without.
They can't draw.
Oh, she just does not care about any other country though. It's only the USA, right? They can't drive. Okay. They can't go out without a chaperone. Okay, what else?
5?
In certain countries, absolutely, women are oppressed. Are you
Where?
literally denying that women are not oppressed in this world? In certain
Well, we're talking
obviously
about
in America, right? I'm
America.
an American.
Right.
Women have equal rights, and I think this is a great society. But
No. Considering the way you feel, honey, sweetie, baby child, considering how you feel, why don't you go to a place where women don't have these rights? Why don't you go to those ones? Aren't those better? I know that's a quite a basic bitch response, but I just want to know: would you move to a more oppressive country? Would you move there and feel okay? In a place where you're not allowed to show your knees, or your face, even maybe. Would you like that? Would that be okay? Would you be fine? I think she would be fine with it. She should be, because she will be taken care of, right? She won't be able to leave that country. She won't be able to leave that country to go and actually change country, go and live anywhere. No, she would have to get permission to leave, and she wouldn't be able to leave by herself.
Suggest that women have not been oppressed in the past
We're
in this country.
We're in the West. Yeah, in this country.
In the past in this country, and throughout the world currently, to suggest that they're not oppressed is absurd.
Show me an example of
It's absurd.
American women. That's not.
Okay, so he brought up other parts of the world. In the US, they have equal rights. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Equal rights. Okay. That's the popo. Okay, the US, they have equal rights, but the rest of the world? Not. Okay, and then we've got the USA. She's like, well, in the USA, tell me in the USA in the West. So let's see what she said. Women have equal rights as great society, but to suggest that women do it's absurd. In this country, in the past, in this country, throughout the world, currently, to suggest, okay? Example, give me an example, okay? Give me an example of women. Of women in this being oppressed in this country, okay? So in the USA.
An argument. Show me an example of American women ever being oppressed comparatively to men.
There's a time in this country where women can't vote.
There was time in this country where men couldn't vote.
It was not the fucking same time, you stupid woman! That's the point! Okay. There was a time. And 3 where women couldn't vote. Your response is, there was a time in this country where men couldn't vote. They have equal rights, but we aren't treated as well in the workplace. Equal rights, but not equal treatment. People have too much time on their hands. Yeah, I'm got a lot of time. Okay, and subsequently it's because of a man that I do. There was this time in the country where women couldn't vote. Oh, well, there's a time in this country. There was time in this country and men couldn't vote. Okay. Gordon does not get terrified. I am not terrifying. I'm irritating. There is a difference. I've never terrified that man. He's just been like, are you serious? Okay, there was time in this country where men couldn't vote. This is why, guys, on my gaming channel there is a rage counter. When I do something like that, there is a rage counter. So if I had to put my Twitch thing, there's a counter for how many times I've raged. We could bring it up on this channel. I could add it to this channel. There was a time in this country where men couldn't vote. So that's her answer for everything. Okay, now what's next?
So
The
what's that?
majority
all
of men could
that's-
not vote.
That is not a retort. That
Thank you! That's not a retort.
is just saying, well, that's true. You basically just said that's true, but. So you basically agree with me.
Nicely done. Okay, you said that's true, but you basically said that's true, but it's very quite interesting. Okay. You just agreed with me, basically said that's true, but
I asked you.
How
you
were
asked
men?
Me,
How were men oppressing women if those men themselves didn't
You
have the
asked-
right to
you
vote
asked me
either?
to say-
So men with no voting rights oppressed women with no voting
No, no, no.
rights.
men with voting rights oppressed men with voting rights did not have women, the same women of the same caliber. Why did we not have women as landowners? Hun? Why did we not have them? So she's saying, oh, men without voting rights oppressed women without voting rights? There were still only men who held those rights. Honey, sweetie, baby, child. Okay, so, show me an example of American women ever being oppressed, blah, blah, blah. There was time in country where women can't vote, blah, blah. So you basically agreed with me. I asked you, okay? So she goes, I asked you how were men oppressing women if those men themselves didn't have the right to say so, with men with no voting rights. Okay? But those men were still the only ones that had voting rights. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, there were women that owned. Were women allowed to vote? Those elite women, were they allowed to vote before? Was there a group of women that was able to vote as part of the elites? In that time, please correct me.
You asked me to give you an example of when women were oppressed, and I did. And then
By who?
your response was just that, yeah, men were oppressed too.
Yeah, she said by who? So, okay, but they were still oppressed by men. So her thing is, you were oppressed because of what? To say so, men with no voting rights oppressed women with no voting rights. You asked me to give you an example of women who oppressed, and I did. Then your response was just that, yeah, men were oppressed. So how could feminism be a reaction to oppression by men? Okay. Not every men were actually women. Okay. I asked voting rights. What did you say?
Yeah. So
so you
how
agree
could
with me.
feminism
Cool.
be a reaction?
To give you an example of when women were oppressed, and I did. And then
By
your
whom?
response was
By whom? Okay. I want him to. You asked me. Yes. Okay. There it is. You asked me to give you an example of when women were oppressed, and I did. And then your response was just that, yeah, men were oppressed too. So she went, by who? By who? So my question is, yes, was there a multi unisex group that was oppressing? Was it? If there is inherent equality here, wouldn't we have a this high class females, and no, not the Queen of England. I'm talking about Mrs. Whoever who owns this chateau or whatever. Who is oppressing them? That's what we're talking about. Okay.
It's just that, yeah, men were oppressed too.
Yeah. So
so you
how
agree
could
with me.
feminism
Cool.
be a reaction to oppression
How
by
is
men?
it not?
How could feminism? Okay, so here her question is, what did he say? Oppressed? Because she said, so how could was just that oppressed too? So how could feminism be a reaction to oppression by men? How could it not? Is his question. His answer. How could it not? Who was the big bad then? Who was the big bad? Not everyone. Okay.
Because they weren't
every
oppressed.
action is
Men- a reaction to oppression
How
by
is
men.
it not?
Yeah. How is it not? Okay. I guess you need to do it, but more than just say that though. You need to explain how it is.
Because they weren't
every
oppressed.
action is
Men were actually women have always been privileged compared to men. Always.
Women?
Throughout all of history, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
come on.
What do you mean, come on? Like I said, women don't have to. Women have never had to die in
Go
battle.
live in the Middle East and tell me that same thing. That's insane.
That you could argue that they're even privileged there.
Okay, so he says, "Hello, Daisy. You show me your bum. Good girl." How is it not? There are go live. So wait, women have always been. So she points to the privilege again. So women have always been. You know what's funny? My husband wants a sandwich. I'm live currently, but well. Okay. There we go. Women has always been. Women have always been more privileged than. He reacted with a heart, okay, because he supports what I'm doing here. It takes like 2 minutes. I'm not going to be doing I have. Also, there's no. Remember, it's a salad, because no bread. I have to make him a tuna salad. Okay. Women could legally own land in America in 1839 to protect the family assets. Okay, yeah, that was in the Bible even. Women have always been more privileged than men. Okay, compared to men. Compared to men. Okay. And then not every. So this what is actually said. It's what is said in this what's the name? What is said in the transcript is not every weren't oppressed. So I don't know what that means.
Comparatively to the men.
Stop! You don't believe that. Do you
I
really
do believe that. Absolutely.
You don't believe that.
Absolutely. Where in the Middle East and what are you talking about?
Okay, hold up.
Are you talking
Stop, you don't-
that you could argue that
In
they
the
die
Middle East,
in
go
battle?
live in the Middle East.
Like I said, women don't have to. Women have never
live
had
in
to
the
die
Middle
in
East.
battle.
Go live in the Middle East and tell me that same thing.
Okay, so she was going over the privileged thing. We don't need to repeat that. He goes, go live in the Middle East and tell me that. Okay, and she's like, we're in the Middle East, because you can do whatever you want, right? You can do whatever you want.
That's insane.
That you could argue that they're even privileged there.
You could argue, there are some, I mean, where I'm at, you could argue that they're even privileged there. Okay, you could, because what? Because we don't have to do anything. We just have to be a mother and a wife.
Comparatively to the men.
Stop! You don't believe that. Do you
I
really
do believe that. Absolutely. Where in the Middle East and what are you talking about? Are you talking about the Taliban? Are you talking about Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia has become very progressive and
Okay, it's become very progressive, but why? Why has Saudi Arabia become so progressive? And why should it be? Why? Why should it
women
be?
there
Afghanistan
can
and
work
tell
and
me
they
that
can
women-
drive
Go-
and
Yeah, but they couldn't. Okay, so is progressive. Okay. So it's moving that way, and you're good. You're happy with that, but
You go to Afghanistan and tell me women are privileged.
okay. So Saudi Arabia is progressive, so you guys go to Afghanistan. Okay, and she's gonna say, well, that's the Taliban. It's like, well, they're in control. I don't. Hello.
Well, how are
privileged
they
than them.
not?
Stop it. It's a rhetorical question. She's asking the same question as
Who are you appealing to here?
the camera.
So
Yes, we're here. I'm here with you, boy.
if let's just grant you that the Taliban is an oppressive regime.
Oh! Interesting. Okay. Let's just grant you that the Taliban is an okay, thank you. Let's grant you. Oh, but men are more oppressed in there, isn't it? Okay, men are more oppressed, so it's fine. Taliban is an oppressive regime. Okay, cool. What do we do with this?
I'm
Grant
not.
me? Wait, it's literally grant me that they're an oppressive regime? Seriously?
Well, you would have to take into account all the ways that men are also oppressed.
Ah, I knew it. I fucking knew it. Okay, you would have to take into account the way men are also oppressed. Okay, men are also oppressed. Okay, but do they have the exact same freedoms? Do they do the exact same thing? Are they able to walk around with their heads exposed, their hair, their face exposed? Can they read?
Under the Taliban regime, which you could
I
argue is
agree
much
with
worse.
that, but
they
that's
are
not
sent,
the point.
They are sent to fight and blow themselves.
That is not the point. Exactly. We're not allowed to. We're not allowed to. We're supposed to only focus we're only supposed to focus on the fact that the men are also oppressed. We cannot say that women are oppressed. As this is the golden thing for me. Okay? You just agreed with me. You basically said that's true, but you did a what about to me. Okay. Let's grant that the Taliban is an oppressive machine and a regime. Of course, she's just doing that, yes, for the sake of argument, because otherwise, no. Otherwise, actually, it's fine. Okay, men are also oppressed. Okay, so this is in line with her. Okay.
Up and die for things that they probably don't
Your
want to
argument
if
is
they
all-
have.
Oh, they don't want to die for that stuff. They don't want to die for the stuff. It's fine. It's fine. They don't want to.
About
About
choice.
what about it?
But let's stick
It is what about
to
is it?
America because the topic
No.
was, it's more here. So
No. Sorry. The topic was. Okay, wait. The topic was that feminism was because feminism came from the USA, I suppose. You just only feminism. It's only here. We're only going to talk about USA. But you have also spent a lot of your time not actually qualifying your arguments and saying, no, I'm talking about America. The whole time. You've said, by and large, you have said that women have never been oppressed and are not oppressed. It's just across the board. They have asked you point blank several times whether women were oppressed ever, and they asked you all over the world, and you still said no, never. And you bitch, you literally just said you tried. You said you hedged it a little bit. You said, oh, you could argue that they're more privileged over there. Okay. Men are also oppressed. They do stuff they don't want to do. Okay, and then
in the United States, women have never been oppressed. You know that women have always had higher rates of literacy.
oh, okay. So she brings it back to the USA. So how do we do this? Yeah, we put it here. This time this country. So let's bring it back to USA. To USA, women have always been oppressed. Sorry, have always been privileged, right? They're sent to fight, but let's stick to America because the topic was, more like that. So in the United States, women have never been oppressed. Never been oppressed. Have never been oppressed. Do you know that? Okay, higher rates of literacy. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. That they were actually able to read. Fancy that. Don't tell them that to the Afghan girls. Hello. Yeah. Okay. And I think they're done.
Okay.
And they were done. Oh. Okay. So that's just it. They just never were oppressed in the USA. Okay. Interesting. Then we've got, so these are the three. We've got Chris, we've done Chris, we've got Mark, Lutch, and then Andrew is next. Probably. There is supposedly someone who doesn't have a social media.
Greetings.
Hello.
Hello. Can you please repeat the question?
So the prompt.
This is Gabriel. Okay, so Gabriel. Gabriel! He's the one that is featured in the preview. Okay.
Is feminism or women's liberation was not a reaction to oppression by men.
It can be.
What?
Could the oppression be of a different form that led to this revolution?
Oof. Okay, what? It can be. So is it possible that it could be? Okay. So could it can be? What could the oppression be of a different form that led to this? That led to this revolution. Okay. Revolution. Okay, so is it a different kind of oppression that we got? Okay.
That's logically possible, but you'd have to give me an example or demonstration of how you think that's the case.
Okay. How about?
Okay, good. She's saying fine, cool. Tell me, just go forth. Give me your argument. Demonstration. Of how you think that's the case. Okay.
The failures of institutions that has occurred, for example, the separation of church and state, the failure of the church to educate these women has allowed them to be victimized by those who obviously desire divisions.
Okay, so separation of the church and state. So failure of institutions. Okay. For example, so his example, separation of church and state. Is that the failure of the church? Failure of the church to educate these women. So yeah, we could have made it if we were just educated. Educate these women so that all of that, this is all allowed. So let's summarize. Allowed women to be manipulated. To be allowed them to be victimized by those who obviously desire division. who desire division. Okay. Maybe he's thinking about feminism now. This sounds a bit more about what's going on now. Let's see how this goes.
Why do you think women weren't allowed to be educated?
That's not what he said. He said they failed. They failed to educate them. But her question, I suppose, is valid. Why do women weren't allowed to be educators? Interesting. It's interesting that you can jump from one of those to the next. Failure of the church to failure does not necessarily mean absolutely not allowed, but she made that assumption, and I think it's correct because I don't think he gives her any crap about it.
Well, I do believe they should have been educated.
They were educated. I was actually just about to tell the guy who sat down before you, women have historically always had higher rates of literacy and high school graduation for as long as we've been tracking in this country. Which
high school graduation, so when they're allowed to go to school. As they should be allowed, they're allowed to. Like, listen, you guys, I'm not saying, oh no, they never were allowed to go to school. I'm just saying, we're talking about Afghanistan and things like that, where we're supposed to be even a little bit more privileged over there as women. Is education necessary for women if we're just talking about how privileged they are? Why do you think women are allowed to be educated? Weren't allowed, so you think they should? I think they should be educated. Nice. But then she goes, okay, so she's got the higher rates of literacy and high school graduation. Women in USA have higher rates of literacy and high school graduation, as long as we've been tracking. Okay. And that. Okay. Which is about 1790. Okay, that's what she's saying. Okay.
is about 1790.
Okay, what were they studying in 1790, these girls? What were they doing? Were they doing finishing school? Did they learn their letters? They learned how to read and play the piano. 1790. What else were they doing? What were women learning in... I didn't spell high school wrong. What's the name? It wants me to put a space between high and school. So, since 1790.
So we're talking about the early founding of the nation. Women were actually more educated than men, and
More educated than men since 1790. Women were more educated than men since founding. What were they educated in? Since founding, women were more educated. Okay.
The reason for this is women were the ones that educated children, and they weren't sent off to, work in infrastructure jobs or farming at, 12 or 14 years old the way that men were. They weren't having to go and die in battle or anything like that.
Okay, so they were able because they weren't going to die, so she brings that up. The other thing, teachers, no conscription, no industrial job. Okay, so that's why they were able to be more educated, because they had more time for reading. Okay,
so women being at home got more education than most men historically.
Understood. Now, could that have been corrupted from the beginning? For example, would be beginning, middle, and end of a story. Education begins at a format where you began, depending on the topic that...
Whew.
you have a desire to learn, or at least you should have been taught.
Uh-huh.
Could that have been manipulated?
Okay, let's copy paste so we can make sense of what you're saying. Okay, educated, so here we go. Here, could it be? Okay, understood. Now, could that have been corrupted from the beginning? Okay, so this is his argument is this idea has been corrupted from the beginning. Okay, that's what he's trying to explain to us. Okay, for example, okay, so let's take out the ums and ahs. Beginning, middle, and end of a story. Okay, so beginning, middle, and end. Okay, education begins at a format where you began, depending on the topic that you have a desire to learn. Okay, so I think what he's saying here is, okay, education starts in the choice of what to learn. Okay, education starts in the choice of what to learn. Okay, beginning, middle, and end of the story. Education begins at format where you begin depending on the topic. Okay, I think we could take out format begins depending on the topic. So at a format where you begin, yeah, okay, so whichever format of the education works. Okay, then we've got have a desire to learn, at least you should have been taught. Okay,
Form of education that has occurred and people weren't aware of it, and that in due time, form of education. Could that have a desire to learn, or at least you should have been taught? Could that have been manipulated? Form of education that has occurred and people weren't aware of it, and that.
Okay, so the form of education could the form of education be manipulated? Have been manipulated. Okay, and then we weren't aware. But okay, how is it being manipulated?
In due time, this revolution, feminism, was just an expected outcome that could have been prevented but never.
Okay, so for example, to learn, at least you should have been taught. Could that have been manipulated? A form of education that has occurred and people weren't aware of it, and that in due time, this revolution, feminism, was just an expected outcome that could have been prevented but never was addressed. Okay, I don't think this man's making much sense, but okay. Could the form of education be manipulated? Could feminism in due time, when people weren't aware of it? So it seems like these are related concepts, that in due time, people weren't aware of it. Okay, then in due time, feminism was just an expected outcome that could have been prevented but was never addressed. Is he saying that we strayed and came to this idea that women should be liberated?
Was addressed.
I really don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah, me neither.
What I mean is someone lied to these women.
Oh, yes,
whether it
absolutely.
be themselves or maybe.
Okay, thank you. So what do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Someone lied to these women. Okay. Someone lied to these women. Okay. Whether on purpose or what? Okay, guys, I need to go and pee. I will be right back.
Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some.
What is happening in chat? Life is too short to waste watching a Wilson debate. Hey AJ! Good to see ya. I should have made the freaking sandwich because The coffee machine wasn't working. It took me forever. So I ended up taking my time and still not being a good wife. So there we go. Now I have a granola filled coffee. Right, so you guys have had having good old arguments. I hope you guys are being respectful. Women belong in the kitchen. Hello everyone. Hey Matthew. I don't belong in the kitchen. Have you seen my cooking? Wait. What's wrong, Paffy? The problem people have with debating Wilson is that they don't hold them to crazy points they make, like women weren't out in the field. It's amazing. Oh, what women weren't out in the field of combat. All right. Decaf coffee, so she's not gonna go off at you. Okay, someone lied to these women. And they were men, wasn't it? Them men lied. So you know what? It's still men's fault. Woo! Ladies, we can still blame them. Okay? It's all your fault. I want to ask her if that's okay. Can I still say that it was their fault? Someone lied to these women. It was men. Please. If anyone wants to donate Rachel's book to me, I'm okay with that. I need it as a paperback. Let me see if it's in the local library. Let me check it out. I'll check if it's in. What is it called? Onion. What is her book called? It's called Angry Woman. No. What's it? Let me check. I'm checking because I don't. It's been a very expensive month. No, you have so many books to read as is. This is true. Let me see if that book is there. If your book is there, CS Paffy. Just hold on, I'm checking the thing. I'm just checking the catalog. Oh, honestly, this website is not fun. We apologize for the inconvenience. You've requested it with this. Okay. Okay, their website is down. That's nice. Can you read the book with your other purchase? Members only? Can you read the book with us with your other purchase? Members only? Oh, my other purchase. Guys, she is over here. My other Let me just give you a little. Did you see her? Yeah, it's not a great one, but yeah, that will be a members only thing. Oh, Louis Perry hosted a debate on feminism, much more productive than this. Well, then we can look at it tomorrow. Okay. That was fast. It's Amazon, but the thing is that's because also it's a cheap one. If it was a real proper wig that didn't look absolutely pathetic, then I would have to go to a proper wig shop to get it. But I'm not spending that much money on a joke. Good lord. Right. I mean, it's really long and bushy as well. Anyway, that's for Friday. That's not for today. Someone lied to these women. And they were men.
A combination of both and or
Yes.
another third party that desired their outcomes. Just
Yeah.
using them as pawns to
Yeah,
meet the
I
ends
think
of the
that's definitely true, and that's one of my evidences for the fact that feminism was not some kind of grassroots reaction to abusive oppression by the evil patriarchy. So
Okay, so evil patriarchy.
Okay, so is it the belief that woman brought it up. I think it's kind of well known. Maybe that's what Lutch was talking about. It's kind of well known that it's not just that women woke up one day. Men were involved in this. Okay. Yes, whether it be themselves or maybe a combination of both, and other third party that desired their outcomes, just using them as pawns to. I think it's definitely true. And then one of my evidences for the fact is feminism was not kind of so okay. So evil patriarchy, is there an opposite of an evil patriarchy, which is a good patriarchy? Okay, so he's looking for that.
Patriarchy. Is there an opposite of evil patriarchy, which is a good patriarchy?
Sorry, I just need to at least add in. Agreed. This is evidence for why grassroots isn't a grassroots movement. Hello, Daisy. Daisy needs equal rights with her brother. Hey, Didi.
I think we've always had a benevolent patriarchy. I think it's been
Okay, so her joke is that it's not Axel! Immediately, bro! Immediately! Axel, come here! You shit! You, the evil patriarchy! Okay. Sorry about the yelling. It happens. Evidence for my feminism isn't a grassroots movement. Then he was like, cool, evil patriarchy. Okay, now just eat your food. Okay. Is there such a thing? Did he call it a benevolent? A good patriarchy. Okay, so her argument is it's always been good.
framed that
Good patriarchy?
I think we've always had a benevolent patriarchy. I think it's been framed that patriarchy, which just means rule by the father, has always been some kind of evil and nefarious attempt to just keep women down and make them into slaves, when that was honestly never the case.
Would you agree that is the role, rules and regulation of the father to guard and protect his daughter?
Okay. Good patriarchy. Yeah, it's always has been benevolent patriarchy. Oh yeah, I'm reading the Bible. Benevolent patriarchy was all over that place, man. Just throwing the woman at the problem. Just, here you go. Take my daughter. I'm shouting at my cats because the one of them was trying to attack the other. I was protecting my little female cat. Always been a benevolent patriarchy. For fuck's sake. Okay, and rules and regulation of the father. It's being characterized. Okay, get the spray bottle? Nah, that doesn't. It doesn't really work on. Eventually, they start just getting soaked and not caring. Okay, would you agree? Agree that it's the role of the father to protect? Okay.
As women were the ones that educated children, and they weren't sent off to home, got more education
To learn, or at least you should have been taught.
I really don't know what you mean. It's one of my evidences, patriarchy. I think it's been framed that patriarchy, which just means rule by the father, has always been some kind of evil and nefarious attempt to just keep women down and make them into slaves, when that was honestly never the case.
Would you agree that is the role, rules and regulation of the father to guard and protect his daughter.
Okay, rules and regulations. Role of the father is to protect. What? To protect his guard and protect his daughter. Okay.
And obviously his wife, who's going to being the bearer of his children.
Daughter and wife. Okay.
Okay, so what if that father got corrupt?
Well,
Okay. What if that father got corrupt? Oopsie. What if that father got corrupt? Okay.
there's always going to be some corruption in hierarchies. It's unavoidable. That doesn't mean the whole hierarchy is bad.
No, she is talking about he's talking about what if. So he asked you what if it got corrupt, but you're saying, oh, just because hierarchies can be corrupted, that doesn't mean the concept of hierarchy is bad. Yeah, I don't think that's what he's asserting. Okay. There's always going to be some corruption in hierarchies, it's unavoidable, but the whole thing bad. Okay, so where are we going with this? This has been the worst. Okay.
Okay, so at what point will the whole thing be corrupt?
When the whole thing is corrupt. I don't know what his assertion is here. It's very interesting. What's the argument? This is true.
I think that that's kind of a slippery slope type of a fallacy where it'd be pretty hard, or a continuum fallacy where it may be hard for you to like prove a point. But my contention is that there was no overall plot, no overall nefarious oppression of women by men as
He's finally understood what she was saying.
a whole. So no overall nefarious oppression of women by men as a whole. So if you can tell me where there was,
Well, wouldn't it would be, let's go to Christian ethics, where technically we're at war.
Okay, so hold up. Hold up, we're getting quite a lot, but there's going to be some corruption in hierarchies. At what point would the whole thing be corrupt? So I think his argument is that some man got corrupted, or some men were corrupted, and then used their corruption to create feminism, which then led to this. I think he actually agrees with her. I was gonna call her Pearl. I think he actually agrees with her. He just doesn't know it yet. So, because he's talking about how the whole thing is corrupt. Essentially, what she is saying is that, yes, these radicalized people or whatever, they were the ones that brought this idea of feminism to the fore, and that was the corruption. So I think he's actually in line with her as much as he thinks he isn't. The whole big thing be corrupt. She just brings up continuum fallacy. And then be hard for it to like prove a point, but my contention is that there was no overall plot. So I like that she's at least brought it back to her ideas. Like, well, how do you interact with my idea? Because I don't really know what yours is. My contention, there was no overall plot, no overall nefarious suppression of women by men as a whole. Yeah, I don't think, and also when my conception of oppression, even though I disagree with her on whether it existed or not, is that it wasn't like, ooh, they all got together and said, woman must be oppressed. No. It was because of the nature, the differences between us, us being the weaker sex, that development occurring. But as our weaknesses seemed to even out, as technology came to the fore, we became a little bit more equal, right? And it was noticeable. I don't think this I don't think there was like, oh, we can't have the woman do this. It was kind of just agreed upon, as well. We're talking about consensus in society. The fact that, yeah, okay, democracy has its flaws, but as we navigate our lives in society, it really is a consensus. It is the Overton window. It is all of that. Whatever most people agree on is going to fly. And what a lot of the time, what seems to happen is the power structures are trying to socially engineer everything top down. And without bottom up helping it, it's not going to maintain. It'll just swing back. But my contention is that there's no overall plot, no overall nefarious oppression of women and men as a whole. So if you can tell me where there was, well, wouldn't it be... Let's go to Chris. So he's going to say... So is he going to say that the church did it or something? We've strayed from God is... I'm getting that vibe that we've strayed from God, and that's his example. His thing, but who knows? Let him talk. I'm still yet to see a sewage worker, Kitty. I'm telling you, there is one, especially in Australia.
Technically, Christianity at war, a division.
Like they told women in Australia that was the highest career they should go for, and the women were like, yeah, and they were like, yeah, I'm doing what's right.
Of good and evil, you have an opponent that is obviously an essential essence, a living entity who decided to do evil and desires to breed death and destruction. Manipulating certain individuals, let's say.
This is unfair. Don't bring somebody in like this. Okay, so men as a whole. So if you can tell me where there was, well, wouldn't it be okay? Christian ethics, where technically we're at war. Technically, Christianity is at war and a division of good and evil. You have an opponent. Okay, so yeah, this is putting us at each other's throats, I suppose. But she would argue that feminism puts us at each other's throats. We weren't complaining before. We were fine. We were happy. Christian ethics, where technically we're at war. Technically, Christianity at war, a division of good and evil. You have an opponent that is obviously an essential essence, living entity who decided to do evil and desires to breed death and destruction. Manipulating certain individuals. Let's say desire, greed, and wealth or power. May that be a combination of whether or not fooled, gullible human beings? Okay, so it was the devil. The devil created feminism.
They desire greed and wealth or power. May that be a combination, whether or not. Fooled, gullible human beings. Well, let's just say women who weren't properly taught.
I was properly taught. I was raised Catholic, and I still landed up not wanting children. Like who indoctrinated me? I suppose the devil did. I landed up getting married, but that's just because I found someone I loved. So where did I get this idea of not having children? Certain, let's say desire, greed, and wealth, power. I got it from the devil, is essentially what he's saying. And I wasn't taught properly. Somehow it wasn't drummed into me enough that I should have babies. And there's no safeguarding, because obviously the separation of church and states allowed this, because the church has failed. Okay. We weren't properly taught to rebel. Okay, so they weren't taught. They weren't properly taught to rebel in different form of ways, like feminism. Sure, there's no safeguarding. Okay. So he's just saying it was the devil. Okay. Cool. And the church and state. He's like a one-issue guy. His thing is the separation of church and state was a problem. So everything will come back to that. All roads lead to separation of state, church and state.
To rebel in different form of ways, like feminism.
Sure.
And there's no safeguarding, because obviously the separation of church and state allowed this, because the church has failed in their own aspect, as well as the nation. They allowed these problems to being stirred.
Well,
sorry. Okay, cool. I mean, this is what he thinks, and he this is his idea. Basically, church did wrong, by separating from state.
Well, you
Aziza.
could say that, you know, the Protestant foundings of the nation and the idea of separation in church of state was a bad idea. I
Correct.
don't know that that's relevant to the claim that most people make, which is that feminism was simply a reaction to abuses of men oppressing women. So,
Well, could the reaction be forthcoming? Could have been like forewarned.
Oh, mamma mia. Okay. So we've got, could say, you know, the Protestant foundings of the nation, the idea of separation in church. Okay, so at least she did take something there. She made something with it. Good on her. Could say that the Protestant foundings of the nation and the idea of the separation in church of state was a bad idea. I don't know that that's relevant to the claim that most people make, which is that feminism was simply a reaction to the oppression, abuses of an oppressed woman. Okay. Okay. Could the reaction be forthcoming? Is it coming? Is it prophesied? It's in the book. Oh no! Sorry, it was warned. It was forewarned. Okay. So, do not let a woman go astray, and whatever. It's in the Bible. Could the reaction be forthcoming? Could have been like forewarned. Negligence may have occurred. I mean, it could. I don't know. I don't know what that has to do with the prompt.
Negligence may have occurred.
I mean, it could.
Good.
I don't know what
Possible.
it has to do with the prompt. Sorry.
Understood.
All right. That was it, guys. We did it in one session. Well, it is just one prompt. I appreciate modern day debates for making it just one prompt at a time, because that's usually what I have to do with the Jubilee, is cut it into the prompts. Basically, cut the whole episode into different prompts.
Meow.
Meow, meow, meow,
Meow,
meow.
meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow.
Thank you very much for the follow, Shorks. Hello, Davina. How you doing? To have a utopia and be free, you have to be willing to be more strict as it applies to those who cross the line. You'll always get more respect and fear. Do right, and most others will too. Meowdy! Yeah! I love a good meowdy. Look at the hat. See, why does StreamYard knows how to get it shows up the emotes from Twitch, but it cannot show up the custom emotes from YouTube. Sucks. Alright, so what have we gotten as the argument? I mean, she does seem to win it. We haven't really gotten much because of the way that she views history. Basically, again, when we one of the questions that I eventually get towards for a debate is, okay, where's the line? And the line is how she views history, and how she views oppression. She finds that certain privileges that women have had, that outweighs their oppression. Men have been more oppressed, which that also outweighs the supposed oppression of women. We didn't actually get into these radical. The first thing that she said, which I gave her a point for, because of the way she put it together just nicely, and I suppose you would, after writing a book, you would be able to just put it in a bit of a blurb. This is her whole stance for this prompt, is the usual story: women realized they were oppressed and started protesting. That's what people supposedly believed. The actual story is it was astroturfed social engineering project by radical revolutionaries. What really blew my mind, okay? What really blew my mind was, and I will need to connect them. Let me just open everything up. Okay. What really blew my mind was when she eventually came over and said that the revolutionaries, this over here. Okay, so she spoke about these radical revolutionaries in the beginning, and I thought the radical revolutionaries, what I thought her whole argument would be, is that these are people that want to destroy the West or create some sort of power vacuum, or they thought they could get more money by bringing women into the workforce, things like that. All different kinds of conspiracy layers that we could go into, because I would need to know what's who were these? Were these revolutionaries? And how would this benefit them? Okay, because that's what I was thinking. Okay, she's pointing to some sort of group that that did this politically. So that would make me go, why? They obviously did it for a certain development, a certain benefit for them. Then later on we find out, okay, if we follow this line, we find out that there was a small group of radical revolutionaries who felt that the current system prior to this, of what we had through all of history, was inherently oppressive to women because they felt that men and women were equal. So their revolutionary concept was the concept of feminism. So the only thing that she's changed around here is that it's not that women woke up one day and protested. It was that some other people, men, picked up the idea that men and women are equal. Those were the revolutionaries, and they brought forth feminism. But the idea that she's got behind here, okay, is still feminism. Do you see what I mean? This is still feminist principle. Is still the feminist principle. That men and women are created equal. All humans are equal. That's the revolutionary idea. Okay? There was a small group of radical revolutionaries who felt the current system prior to this was that we had, through all of history, was inherently oppressive to women because they felt that women and men were equal. That they're basically the same. They just have different reproduction organs, right? And that's really the only difference. They should be anything a man could do. Okay, so I understand that from there she goes on to say it's impossible, right? She has a problem with this principle. That's fine. So I see that men were so she's got the men were more, and this is what she wanted to sit with as well. The fact that she said it's an arbitrary stance, that saying men and women are equal is stupid. And like I said in the beginning, very poorly, but what I was trying to get to in the beginning was that we have to get to a kind of lower resolution equality. So actually, if I do this, I can erase this because I wasn't even keeping points. If I can actually try and draw what I'm trying to say. Okay. Let me see. It's feminism all the way down. Okay, so we have a man, and we have female. Okay, but we also have human. Okay. We have MF and H. Okay, so we've got male, female, and human. Okay, males are not females. Okay. And females are not males. This is a controversial take. Okay, but we are all human, right? We're all human. And yeah, we have our female traits over here. So we're like, ooh, boobs, hormones, emotional, what else? Oh, fat retention, I don't know. Fat retention. All kinds of things there. Male muscle. We also got the testosterone, so it's also a hormone, but whatever. And stoic. I'll put you guys as stoic because you're not as emotional, but we've also got aggressive. Okay, so we got, let's pretend we've got those things, right? There. So yes, I understand. So what she has said is that because we are two different things, we cannot be equal, right? We cannot be seen equally because we're two different things. Okay, we can't do the same things, we are not. Okay? Yeah, I agree. Men and women are different, yes, but the thing that comes down to it when we're talking about rights, human rights, we're talking about this. We're talking about the ways in which we're similar. This bit. Humanity, soul, value within a group. Okay? That is supposed to lend us, we should have the right to do things, right? Because we are humans. Because we exist. Simply because we exist. We can have these differences, but at the same time we are still both human. Both of us are human. So what are the human traits? Sentience. Okay. Ability to learn. Okay. To learn. Capacity for pain. What else? Also, there's actually also just the thing of tribalism over here. This is not crazy stuff. There are things that we have in common with each other because we are human. Nah. Okay? Cool. So what I am doing is saying that means that we can talk about some equality, right? We can actually have equality. But what she is saying is because these two are so different, this doesn't matter. This humanity over here does not matter. Actually, we're too different to ever be considered the same. We each have to always be considered separate because we can never be equal. We can never be equal in sentience, in pain, in all of that. We can't do that. We can't be equal in our what if I ask you if your rights are not real? Yeah, my rights are not real. Eventually it gets to the point, actually, whether you believe in any fucking thing. Right? What do you believe in at all at the end of the day? Do you believe humans have any value? Are you so cold and nihilistic that you have to say that everything is an illusion and whatever, and you just believe in nothing? Then I can understand. Okay? But there is a way that I want the world to be. I have beliefs about the way I want the world to be. Because I am a human being with a brain and emotions, and I think. And yeah, that's just the way I want it to be, and I'm going to commentate on this. Oh, so they're arbitrary. You know what? Sure, they're arbitrary. They just came up. I just came up with them right now. The fact that I believe in anything is just arbitrary. It just came around. Because if I was born in any other time, I would not believe anything else. And you know what? Why does anything fucking matter? You're just so based. You're so based that your entire existence is just pointless. Okay, regarding your stream title and whether feminism was response to oppression, I play a game called Frostpunk 2, like a post-apocalyptic survival city manager. When you make decisions too harshly, you run the risk of a new opposing group of people forming mad because you've been doing something they don't like. I don't know, to me it seems common sense a group would form to protect the rights and wishes of a small group. There's counter. Yeah, it seems like it just happens with humans anyway. There is a back and forth that happens. You're using emotions, not logic. Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. So see how I promote women and get ignored. Typical. What did you say? Also, the man flu is real. Women are better at being resilient in sickness. So, you go, girl. Pain has actually been studied and women have a higher tolerance. Yeah. We both have big brown eyes. Whoa, this is a problem. Yeah. Yeah, just for me, I agree. I am in the camp of there is shared humanity. I am not in the camp of we are absolutely exactly the same all the time, but we have shared human traits. We are not so different that we should be completely separated in all facets of life. Especially because, as humans, we are a species that works together. We cannot have this separation and just continue. Fine, but again, I get irritated with with the people that just are trying to always just fucking deconstruct and deconstruct and deconstruct until the point where I just want to say, okay, then what the fuck do you suggest? What would you like the world to be like? Please put it in the comments. I need to make my husband a salad, so we should wrap this up. I do not agree with Pearl over here. Yeah, she did well though, because the place that what she thinks is true to her. And yeah, she leans on the biggest thing that I really enjoyed in terms of counter argument was you have just said yes, that's true, and that was my favorite one. It was Chris, I think, who did it, where he said, you've just said yes and, okay? You have not done anything else. You asked, yeah, you agreed with me, you basically said that's true, but you did a what do you call it? A what about? And that was it. So that was my favorite counter argument. Higher rates of literacy. My question for Pearly Things over here is, when women have never been oppressed, okay, higher rates of literacy, what were they reading? What were they learning? I don't think you can blame women just for being women for the welfare state and all of that sort of stuff. I would also like to know, the welfare state, was it designed by women? Okay, who designed it and took advantage, I suppose, as Gabriel is thinking, of the softness of women? Then, if you would like to give up your vote as a woman, please do so, respectfully. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to pay in Australia if that's what you want to do. So, what's the name? So yeah, feminism isn't a... What's feminism isn't a reaction to oppression. Okay, cool. She isn't arguing against it. Against what? She's diagramming a debate. Oh, that's what I'm doing, yes. Would you value the opinion of a crackhead? I mean, on crack, maybe. No, if they told me, I would value the opinion if they were, okay, they were not on crack at the time that I speak to them, and I would be asking them about crack use. So maybe that's the most I would value a crack user. I think, considering, Paffy, send me that link of the sexual revolution lady. For tomorrow's debate session. If it's a long one, we better get going. So I'll listen to it. This time I won't do a blind one. I'll listen to it a little bit. So maybe either listening to it and then picking out a section for us to do so that we can actually get through it, or yeah, not. Tomorrow's session will be basically the same time. Yeah, and we've got a Thursday one coming up as well. We've got a think on Friday morning / Thursday night for you guys in America, and yeah, we've got the reaction stream on Friday, and hopefully some gaming after the reaction stream. So we'll do about like maybe an hour of reaction and an hour of gaming, and the gaming will be over on the That Don Kitty Games channel on YouTube. So it's That Don Kitty Games, like that, and go and subscribe. We're on like 52 subscribers over there. It's good. But I'll give you some more reason to subscribe over there on Friday. Have a nice life, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, also, sorry, Thursday stream should be South Africa focused. It'll be cool. Have a nice life, and okay, thanks, bye.
I'll see you next time, bro. Okay, thanks, bye. We're sparky as fuck. Daisy's a menace, but we were having fun the whole time. I'll see you next time, bro. Okay, thanks, bye. Okay, thanks, bye. We're sparky as fuck. We're sparky as fuck. She goes meow 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 meow. We're sparky as fuck. Okay, thanks, bye.